Hello, fans, and welcome to This Day in Baseball, where we're going to bring you a full radio broadcast of today's game. And before we do that, I just want to thank Classic Baseball Radio, and there's a link in the notes where you can check out their full channel. They have many great radio broadcasts. And while you're listening to today's game, if you want to check out much more about the game and the players, look on the links below, and you're going to see links to player pages, the date the game happened, the year it happened, and the play-by-play. Enjoy the game, and check out the links while you're watching the game, and please don't forget to hit the subscribe button so that every time new content comes out, you're going to get that firsthand. And thank you again for checking out This Day in Baseball, and enjoy the game.
From Shea Stadium in New York City, this is Jim Simpson with Bill O'Donnell. And in a few moments, the fifth, and what might be the final game of the 1969 World Series. With those amazing New York Mets gaining more and more supporters every day as truly a team of destiny, lead the powerful but dismayed Baltimore Orioles 3-1 in this best-of-7 game series. Today's game is brought to you by Chrysler Corporation. Engineering with care. Your host for today, your local Chrysler Plymouth dealer. The Hartford Insurance Group and Hartford agents and brokers everywhere. Gillette Right Guard, America's #1 deodorant, and Right Guard antiperspirant in the silver can. The makers of Winston, Salem, and Camel cigarettes. And by STP Corporation, makers of STP oil and gas treatment. Partly cloudy skies in New York today, temperature in the low 60s. For this fifth, and as we said, what might be the final game of the 1969 World Series. But before looking ahead, let us look back to the 10th inning of yesterday's 2-1 thriller won by the Mets that gave them that 3-1 lead. In that, you'll recall, Buford lost the ball off the bat of Grody in the sun. It fell in between Buford and Belanger. It was a double. Gasper went in to run for Grody. Al Weiss was walked deliberately. There was nobody out and 2 men on, and J.C. Martin was sent up to bunt. The bunt went down the right side of the foul line. Rickard came off from the pitcher's mound. Ellie Hendricks came out. Hendricks, the catcher, had to play in front of him, but the left-hander Rickard picked up the ball, fired, and hit J.C. Martin in the back of the wrist. And Gasper scored all the way from second base. But this morning, after pictures were in the newspapers showing that J.C. Martin was in fair territory, instead of running the foul lines properly, someone asked, and then it became a monumental topic of discussion in New York, how come he should have been out for not running the baselines? Well, the commissioner of baseball went into the NBC remote unit and looked in slow motion at that play time and again, and then listened to what the plate umpire Shag Crawford said. And umpire Crawford said, in his judgment, when hit by the throw of Rickard, Martin's right foot was on the line. It is a judgment play. Earl Weaver, the Baltimore Orioles, had been ejected earlier. Nobody protested. As a matter of fact, Earl Weaver said, gee, I wish I had not seen the picture at all. It is a judgment play. It would have done me no good to know that we might have had a protest, but we have none. And so, the Mets lead 3-1, and we come now to a rematch of game number 2. Left-hander Jerry Koosman and left-hander Dave Mcnally of Baltimore. In game number 2, it was 2-1, New York, with Al Weiss, the .215 hitting second baseman, driving in the winning run. The New York Mets, who lead 3-1, the pitching staff, a fine one, has a 1.50 earned run average. But Bill O'Donnell of the Baltimore Oriole announcing staff is with us once again. And Bill, the big story, not only their earned run average, but what happened to the big bats of Baltimore.
The big bats, Jim, have been just choked off by the fine New York pitching. And the likes of Blair, Frank Robinson, Powell, and Brooks Robinson have only picked up 9 base hits off Met pitching in 59 official plate appearances. So this Baltimore ball club, representing the American League in the 1969 series, as Detroit did a year ago, is faced with a similar situation going into Game 5. A year ago at this time, the Tigers were down to the St. Louis Cardinals 3-1. And then Lolich, McLean, and Lolich again came back to win that 7-game series, 4 victories to 3 over the National League Cardinals. But the Cardinals, like the Mets, the Cardinals a year ago had hot pitching through the first 4 ball games. Hot pitching by Gibson, by Washburn, and by Horner. And in those first 4 games of the year ago, the Tiger bats were choked off. The bats and the power of the likes of Horton, Northrup, and Freehan, they were cooled off very effectively by the St. Louis pitching. And that's exactly what the Met staff has accomplished in the first 4 games. Now, there's an old baseball feeling, experts have said it for years, that pitching beats good hitting. The Mets have proved that feeling in the first 4 games of the series, just as they did during the National League pennant race when they beat hot bats and beat ball clubs with good hitters like Cincinnati and also Pittsburgh. And they proved that also during the National League playoff series against the Atlanta Braves, sweeping the Braves in 3 straight ball games. Right now, some 57,000 fans are pouring into Shea Stadium. Most of them, naturally, are Met fans. They are expecting a New York win, and if the Mets win, that would give them the World Series, 4 victories to 1. They are also expecting a post-game party. The amazing Mets have been the team of destiny for the first 4 games. Now it's the Orioles who must come off the floor. It's the Orioles who must have the miracle ball club beginning this afternoon. They must become the amazing Orioles. Meanwhile, Oriole fans do have consolation in the fact that pitching by Cuellar and Mcnally has been good, despite the fact that Cuellar has suffered 1 defeat and Mcnally has suffered also a defeat in the 2nd game. Cuellar, who was the first game winner, has given up just 2 earned runs in 2 starts. Mcnally, who lost game 2 to Koosman 2-1, did scatter 6 base hits. The relief pitching by the Orioles, especially by Eddie Watt, has been good. So from a pitching standpoint, Oriole baseball fans who are here at Shea Stadium are not discontent. They are discontent with the lack of power and base hits that as yet has not been supplied by Blair, Frank Robinson, Powell, and Brooks Robinson, Jim.
Now, Mickey Mantle, who has played in 13 World Series and has seen a number of fine catches, and may I add, has made a number of fine catches himself, said this morning that Svoboda's catch off the line drive of Brooks Robinson in the 9th inning of the 4th game of this 1969 World Series is the best catch, the best defensive play he has seen in a World Series in his lifetime. So Ron Svoboda gets credit yesterday for saving the game for Tom Seaver. Now today for the Baltimore Orioles, Don Buford will lead it off and play left field. Paul Blair is in center field. Frank Robinson bats third in right. Boog Powell bats cleanup at first base. Brooks Robinson at third base. Davy Johnson at second base. Andy Etchebarren, the catcher. Mark Belanger at shortstop, and Dave Mcnally, primary, a slider, and curveball pitcher, and a 20-game winner, is the pitcher. For the New York Mets, leading off and playing center field, Tommy Agee. And now the Mets are getting their introductions here at biased Shea Stadium, and understandably so. Bud Harrelson bats second at shortstop. Cleon Jones is in left. Don Clendenon, who has hit 2 home runs in this series, bats fourth and plays first base. Ron Svoboda, yesterday's fielding hero, tied with Clendenon and several others for the most hits in the World Series, 4, bats fifth. Now, when Gil Hodges was forced to go with this right-handed lineup, not considered the power lineup that the Mets have, because the Orioles are pitching left-handers, it meant that Art Shamsky, a 300 hitter, and Ken Boswell, the hottest-hitting Met over the period of September, had to be benched, and Clendenon and Svoboda were 2 of those added. And the statement was made last Saturday when the series opened, they have to hit. Both are hitting at .364. Both have made excellent defensive plays. Ed Charles bats sixth and is at third base. Jerry Grody, with a hit in every game of the World Series, bats seventh and catches. Al Weiss, who also has 4 hits and driven in a couple of runs, including the run that won the ball game for Koosman over Mcnally on Sunday, is at second base. And Jerry Koosman, 17-9 on the season, and has won a World Series game this year, is the pitcher. In this replay of the second game of the World Series, 1-2-1. For those of you who may not be keeping track, and by the way, we want to say hello to all of our armed forces overseas. Baltimore won the opener behind Mike Cuellar, 4-1. Second game, Koosman won it, 2-1. Third game, a breeze for Gary Gentry, 5-0. Yesterday, in the first extra inning game since the year 1964, 2-1, the Mets with Swoboda's heroics. And now we come to that moment, whether we go on to Baltimore or not, where every game of the World Series might be, the final game of the 1969 World Series. The Mets are down the first base line, the Orioles down the third base line. The color guard is in the infield on the third base side, and the First Army Band of New York is ready, as Miss Pearl Bailey has been introduced and will lead the crowd in singing our national anthem.
By the dawn's early light, what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's flashing, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight.
Miss Pearl Bailey here at Shea Stadium, and we'll be back with more pregame color right after this message.
If you want a car that makes it, Plymouth makes it. It's the flash that lights the photograph when you take it. It's the new affair that's starting now.
Look out, small economy cars. Here comes Duster.
It's the greatest new adventure you can find. It's a state of mind.
Big enough for even big people. Small enough to fit into about 3/4 of a parking space. Valiant Duster. With an engine big enough for good pickup and safe passing, but small enough to save on gas. Valiant Duster. Plymouth makes it.
We pause 10 seconds for station identification.
This 1969 World Series game is brought to you in part by Saratoga Vichy and Saratoga Ginger Ale. Sit back and relax with the Fizz Kids from Saratoga.
WGY Schenectady.
Bill O'Donnell back with Jim Simpson at New York Shea Stadium, awaiting the beginning of Game 5 of the 1969 World Series. And the umpiring assignments will be as follows today. Lou Demure of the American League will work home plate. Lee Wire of the National League will be at third base. The second base umpire, Hank Soar, and let us interrupt the umpiring assignments to tell you that the former Yankee Clipper and New York great, Joe DiMaggio, with the Commissioner of Baseball, Bowie Kuhn, standing right beside him, the right arm of Joe DiMaggio has just officially tossed out the first ball of this fifth game to the Mets catcher, Jerry Grody. Now, continuing with the umpires, we gave you Hank Soar of the American League at second base. Frank Sikori of the National League will be the third base umpire. Working the left field foul line from the American League will be Larry Knapp. And the right field foul line umpire will be Shag Crawford of the National League. Today will be a battle of left-handers, and here are the Mets now, moving out of their first base dugout to take the field. When Jerry Koosman makes his way to the mound, defensively, he'll be set up behind him with Charles as his third baseman, with Harrelson at shortstop, with Weiss at second base, and the first baseman will be Clendenon. The Mets left fielder will be Cleon Jones. Tommy Agee will be in center field, and the right fielder will be Ron Svoboda. Jerry Grody will do the catching. Koosman on the season, and he's a 25-year-old left-hander. Made 32 starts. He had 16 complete ball games, including 6 shutouts. Koosman overall won 17, and he lost 9. And he was the second game winner of the World Series, played in Baltimore, beating his mound opponent today, Dave McNally, and the Orioles by a score of 2-1. Koosman throws the good fastball and also the breaking ball. Koosman's best pitch, his fastball. McNally, on the other hand, throws curveball, slider, and fastball, and McNally's best pitch is the curveball. Koosman now is running from the Mets dugout to the mound. A little bit more about Jerry Koosman. Despite the fact that he was sidelined in late April and then through most of the month of May, Koosman, however, still made 32 starts on the season and gained those 17 wins. And there were many who figured that had Koosman not been sidelined for close to a month, that he could very well have been a 20-game winner, just like Tom Seaver, who picked up 25. This is only Koosman's second Major League campaign. A year ago, for the 9th place Mets, Koosman won 19 and lost only 12, as opposed to 17 and 9 this year. Like Tom Seaver, the other ace of the Mets staff, Koosman will throw from three-quarter style against right-handers. He'll come on top with his fastballs against right-handers. Against left-handers like Powell, he will throw sidearm a lot and go with breaking stuff from the first base side. Koosman is continuing his warm-up pitches. As far as his mound opponent is concerned, Dave McNally. McNally is shorter. He goes only 5'11" and 190 pounds. He is out of Billings, Montana. He has been a World Series pitcher in 3 previous ball games. In games 1 and 4 of the 1966 World Series against the Dodgers, and in game 2 of this World Series. McNally's World Series record, a win and a defeat. Koosman's World Series record, a win without a defeat. Koosman now is getting ready to take on Don Buford, to be followed by Blair and Frank Robinson. To tell you all about it, let's introduce again, with pleasure, Jim Simpson.
Thank you, Bill O'Donnell. Koosman, in winning the second game, pitched 8 2/3 innings, gave up only 2 hits, both of those in the 7th inning, and 1 run, and won the ball game by the score of 2-1 with relief help from Ron Taylor. Buford batting right-hander. He's a switch hitter, 2 for 16 on the series. Koosman ready, first pitch, fouled off to the right. Buford in the first game, the first Oriole up, hit a home run. Later in that second game, or rather the first game, he hit a double and drove in a total of 2 runs on the day. That home run and that double, the only extra base hits the powerful Baltimore Orioles have had in this series, which now begins its 5th game. Koosman, the left-hander, ready again. Primarily fastball pitcher, but changes here. Grounds it toward shortstop. Harrelson's up with it. Sidearm throw, 1 down. Buford goes down, and that brings up Paul Blair. Blair, 2 for 16.
Number 6.
Against Koosman in the 7th inning of Sunday's game in Baltimore, it was Blair who lined a single to left field to break up the no-hitter of Koosman and later scored the only run of the ball game on Brooks Robinson's single. Also stole a base to set up the score. 285 on the year. Koosman ready, throws a breaking pitch, center field, straight away. Agee goes back a few steps, taps his glove, and has it for the second out. Thus far, Jerry Koosman has thrown 3 pitches and has 2 men out, and here is Frank Robinson. Robinson 2 for 13 on the series. Singled and scored the only run yesterday. 3 walks and 2 strikeouts. And against Koosman down in Baltimore Sunday, Robinson was 0 for 3, but hit 2 long shots to the outfield. No score, 2 down, top of the first, the 5th, and possibly the final game of the 1969 World Series. Koosman throws a fastball inside, and it's ball 1 to Robinson. Billy Hunter, who was a manager for a while yesterday after manager Earl Weaver was thrown out of the game, is coaching at third. George Stoller at first. Guzman back low with his slider, and it's 2-0. Blair, Frank, and Brooks Robinson, and Boog Powell, as Bill said, 9 for 59. That's a batting average, where these four powerful batters have 153, and all of their 9 hits have been singles. Back again, line drive right field. In comes the Wood on the dead run. Has it takes foul. No runs, no hits, no errors, none left. The Orioles go down in order with the Mets coming to bat. There's no score.
Some men have average-size hands. Some men have big hands. For men with average hands, Gillette introduces our new adjustable razor with an average-size handle. For men with big hands, Gillette introduces our new adjustable razor with a long handle. Both new razors have 9 precision settings. Gillette figures a more comfortable razor in your hand means a more comfortable shave.
What man can resist the clean, crisp aroma of ocean surf? Get it in new Gillette Foamy Surf Spray Shaving Cream. A new fragrance, like the refreshing spray of a breaker. The foamy crispness of ocean whitecaps. If you've ever enjoyed the refreshing scent of ocean spray on your skin, you know what to expect in new Foamy Surf Spray by Gillette. Take the plunge today.
Together with Jim Simpson, Bill O'Donnell back with you again here at New York Shea Stadium, and the Met crowd has already begun to chant "Let's Go Mets" to start off their favorite ball club in the bottom of the first inning. And it'll be led off by Tommy Agee to be followed by Harrelson and Jones. Defensively with Mcnally. Baltimore has Robinson at third, Belanger at short, Johnson at second, Powell at first. An outfield of Buford in left, Blair in center, Frank Robinson in right, and Etchebarren behind the plate. Dave Mcnally making his second World Series start. He goes against Agee. Here's Jim.
Left-hander McNally ready, primarily curveball slider, remember. Throws a breaking pitch on the outside. It's ball 1 to Agee. Agee 2 for 15 on the series, including a home run to lead off against Jim Palmer in the opener here in New York. A fastball hit over the center field wall. Against McNally, 0 for 4 down in Baltimore and struck out twice. McNally ready again, hits it high in the air, off to the right side and fouled and out of play. McNally worked 9 innings down in Baltimore when he lost, gave up 6 hits and those 2 runs, struck out 7 and walked 3. The amazing Mets, since August the 16th, in the regular season, 38-11. They swept the Atlanta Braves 3-0. They lead the Baltimore Orioles 3-1. Since August 16th, they've won 44 ball games and lost only 12. No score last of the first. Agee with a 1-ball, 1-strike count hits this one out of play again to the right and foul. A .271 hitter during the regular season, has power, 26 home runs, 76 RBIs. Tommy, the man that makes the Mets go, he proved it with 2 great catches here on Tuesday, plus the home run. Yesterday's hero, Ron Swoboda and Tom Seaver. McNally out in front of Agee, 1-2. The lights are on around the stadium, although the sun peeks in and out. Ball high. McNally didn't think so. To Agee, and it's 2-2. Kneeling on deck is Bud Harrelson, having a great series as a shortstop, a switch hitter, and he has been a pesky one for the Oriole pitching staff. McNally ready again. Throws an off-speed pitch outside, and now Agee has worked it all the way to 3-2. McNally had a week's rest before pitching last Sunday and did not have as good control. The Baltimore staff figures that after having worked last Sunday, and now here it is Thursday, he should have control, but he walks the man with an inside fastball. Agee takes first base, and here comes Bud Harrelson. And now, with it early in the game and the leadoff batter on first, let's see how Gil Hodges plans to play this. Harrelson stares down to Eddie Yost, the coach at third. Yogi Berra is coaching at first. Are they going to play for the 1 run already by bunting him over, or will they go for the big inning against the left-hander McNally? 9 right-handers in the Mets lineup again for the 4th time in 5 games. High pitch. And that was not a pitch out, and Etchebarren races out to talk to Mcnally. There's always pressure in a World Series game, but when you are pitching, knowing that if you should lose, the series is over, and the other team has won, that's extra pressure. And remember, the Baltimore Bullets of the National Basketball Association won the Eastern title. The New York Knickerbockers knocked them off before they got to the finals. The Baltimore Colts of the National Football League won the National Football League title. The New York Jets knocked them off in the Super Bowl, and what's going to happen in the World Series? Strike is called to Harrelson. It would be something, say the New Yorkers, and we won't talk to those from Baltimore, if the Mets should upset the team called the best American League team of the last decade. Right now, they're in a commanding position. 3 games they've won, 1 for Baltimore. 1-1 the count to Harrelson. Strike. Harrelson was leading in and then away from the pitch, fooled on the pitch, and it's strike 2. 1-2 for Mcnally with Agee at first. The Orioles went down 1-2-3 in their half of the first. Leon Jones standing on deck, swinging the bat. Blair continues to play a very shallow center field. There's an outside pitch, and it's 2-2. Harrelson, admittedly not a long ball hitter, but Paul Blair plays the Met batters more shallow in center than what the Mets are accustomed to in the National League. Blair, of course, can go get them pretty good. Mcnally ready again. Staring over now at the runner Agee, who is a stolen base threat. Back, low and away, and it's 3-2. This is the second batter, and Mcnally has gone to 3-2 on both of them. There is no tomorrow. Let's strike out that cliche. But at the moment, there's nobody working in the Baltimore bullpen. It is early in the game, and Mcnally trying to get untracked. Back with a pitch strike, throw down to second base, right there waiting, but he drops the ball as Belanger, low throw, came out of his glove. Harrelson strikes out, but Agee steals second. Batting in the third position, left fielder. They may charge an error on Belanger. The throw was on the home plate side of second base, but they're in time. It popped in and out of the glove of Mark Belanger, and Agee is in. As yet, no word about an error, so let's label it a stolen base until we hear something different. Leon Jones, 340 on the year, but 2 for 16 in the series. No RBIs, no runs, and was 0 for 4 against Mcnally in the second game of the series. Buford did make a fine running catch on him to stop a rally in the third inning. Mets have a runner in scoring position. Ball bounces away from Etchebarren. Agee started toward third, but then thinks better of it. As Etch came off the first base side, found the ball in the dirt, and held Agee on at second base. One out with no score in the last of the first. And again, we welcome those of you in the armed forces wherever you are listening. And of course, to our many listeners in Central and South America, as well as here in the United States. The wind is blowing, and it's blowing toward left. Jones likes to go with the pitch, but Ken pulled the ball. Mcnally ready and knocks him down. Jones diving out of the way of an inside fastball, and it's 2-0. Jones finished third in the National League batting race behind Pete Rose and Roberto Clemente. Had 75 RBIs, 12 home runs. Dealing on deck is Don Clendenon, who has 2 home runs in the World Series. Mcnally throws, drive, right field, not too deep. Robinson back near the warning track and has it. Agee tagging and going toward third. Ball is cut off by Belanger, and the first run of the ball game potentially is at third base, but 2 are out, and here comes Don Clendenon. Clendenon, like Swoboda, like Grody, like Weiss, and only like Boog Powell of Baltimore, has 4 hits in the game. 2 of them have been home runs. He's hitting .364, and one of his home runs was against Dave Mcnally. The National League book on Don Clendenon was a left-hander should keep the ball in on him. Mcnally worked him outside all day, and Clendenon down in Baltimore hit an outside pitch to right field and a home run. That was one of the runs that Jerry Koosman got in beating Baltimore. McNally ready, throws, and this time he's inside but low, ball one. He did not move the ball away from Clendenon. Agee at third base. 2 out. Outfield straight away for the dangerous Clendenon. A .248 hitter on the season, but .364 high. Agee had come way down the line, and you probably heard the gasp from the Met fans, raising the possibility in their minds, of course, would Agee in the first inning, and the Mets have done everything right in this series, with the exception of the first game, actually try to steal home. Listen to him yell, go. 2-0, catches the outside corner. 2-1 to Don Clendenon. Ron Swoboda is on deck. Robinson playing off the bag at third against the right-handed Clendenon. So Agee has time to come down the line a little bit. Brooks tries to bluff him back. McNally throws, swing and a miss. Robinson dashes to the bag, and Agee has to slide back in, but they drew no throw from Etchebarren. It's 2-2 to Clendenon. Clendenon does strike out a lot. Last year he struck out 163 times to set a National League record. Bobby Bonds of San Francisco eclipsed that record this year. Clendenon the right-hander. McNally the left-hander throwing on 2-2 inside, and it's 3-2. And for the third time in this inning, McNally has worked the count to 3-2. 3-2 and 2 out, and Agee will really be coming down the line now. McNally trying to stare him back. And of course he draws the walk, so Agee doesn't take the break. He'll hang right there. Runners at the corners, and Swoboda the batter.
Right fielder, number 4.
Second walk, and it's the walks that has McNally in trouble and has the Baltimore bullpen with the right-hander up throwing. Dave Leonard, who worked a couple of days ago and gave up a home run to Ed Kranepool, is throwing, and Etchebarren is talking to McNally. Already McNally, a strong pitcher, he went 11 innings to beat Minnesota in the second game of the league championships, has gone to 3-2 on 3 of the 4 batters he's faced. Swoboda, a .235 hitter, right-hander, is hitting .364 in the series, with a series high of 4 hits. Inside for McNally, ball 1. McNally trying to work his way out of obvious control problems. No score. We are just in the last of the first. But the Mets are the first to make a run at it. McNally set again. Clendenon at first. Agee at third. Swoboda waits. Takes high and a bit inside. It's 2-0. The amazing Mets gaining more and more supporters. Baltimore trying to prove that the amazing team of destiny is a myth. But what a tough row. Swing and a miss and a pitch off the outside corner. And it's 2-1 to Swoboda. Funny thing about Swoboda, and I'm sure you know by now if you've been listening or watching the World Series, born and raised in Baltimore, went to the University of Maryland, and yesterday against his hometown team, Baltimore, he saved the game for New York. 2-1. Back again, catches the outside corner, evens the count at 2-2. Temperature in the low 60s for this 5th game of the 1969 World Series. The weatherman says there's no threat at all of rain. And now McNally kneels to bend and tie his shoelaces.
Jim, even during the first part of the season when McNally had great success when he strung up those 15 consecutive wins, many times during the early innings of the ball game he had control difficulties and had trouble getting into an early inning groove. He has been very wild with his breaking stuff, better with his fastball here in the first inning.
2-2, and let's see what he throws, and strikes out Swoboda with a good fastball. No runs, no hits, no errors, but 2 men left. At the end of 1, Baltimore nothing and New York nothing.
It's to Yankee Doodle. Yankee Doodle went to town, riding on a pony, stuck a feather in his hat and called it macaroni. What did he call it? Macaroni.
After a child has been in a bad accident, how can an insurance company help him to laugh again? The Hartford knows that money alone can't do it, but people can. Doctors, specialists, therapists when they're needed, to treat the injuries, to soothe the shock. And getting them there fast can also help. At the Hartford, we know it's often the kind of help you bring in at the start that determines whether or not there'll be a happy ending. Insurance by the Hartford. We try to keep things simple.
Bill O'Donnell and Jim Simpson here in Game 5 of the World Series, going to the top of the second inning. Whereas Koosman had a relative breeze in the top of the first inning, getting Buford, Blair, and Frank Robinson in order, Mcnally had a struggle. As a matter of fact, Mcnally had to use 27 pitches before retiring the side, and included among those 27 were strikeouts against Harrelson and Swoboda, and he also passed Clendenon and Agee on 3-2 pitches. It's the top of the second inning now, no score in Game 5, and Powell will lead it off, and here's Jim.
Boog Powell has the team high for Baltimore with 4 hits, tying 4 on the Mets staff. Left-handed batter against a left-hander and swings at a breaking pitch, strike 1. Powell, down in Baltimore, was 0 for 3 against Koosman, and he waved at a third strike on a curve on the outside corner. Just noticing in the stands that owner Bob Short of the Washington Senators, conferring with his sports shirt pal. There's a pitch outside to Boog Powell. Ted Williams, the manager of the Senators, who's did such a tremendous job this year, with Washington finishing 10 games above the 500 mark and reaching the 500 mark only for the first time since 1953. 1-1 to count to Boog Powell in the scoreless game. He leads off the second for Baltimore and takes the pitch low and away, and it's 2-1. Powell, despite the fact that he leads Baltimore with 4 singles, has been furious with himself, more noticeably so than any other Baltimore batter. Just furious when he hasn't been able to deliver. Half swings at a good fastball that's over the plate, and it's 2-2. Powell stares back and says something to plate umpire Lou DeMuro of the American League. Koosman ready again. Like Seaver, a relatively fast worker. The 2-2 pitch, low, with the slider, and it's 3-2. Kneeling on deck is Brooks Robinson. Robinson drove in a run yesterday. Baltimore is coming into this game with only 2 runs in the last 31 innings. You can now make it 2 in the last 32 as Boog Powell fouls one off. And the 2 runs they have, both were knocked in by the gentleman kneeling on deck, and that's Brooks Robinson. Three and 2. This is the first time that Koosman has thrown this many pitches to one batter. Back with the 3-2 pitch, drive out to center field. Over comes Agee, over comes Jones. Jones says he has it at left center, right at the warning track, as Powell didn't get around on the ball and flies to the opposite field. 1 down in the second.
Third baseman, number 5.
Brooks Robinson hitting .067. 1 for 15 on the series, but 2 RBIs. He drove in Paul Blair in the first game against Koosman, and Swoboda made the great catch on him yesterday in the 9th. Robinson scoring from third, but Brooks robbed of a hit. Koosman throws, strike right down the middle. Brooks 1 for 4 against Koosman, and Jerry's 2-hitter in Baltimore. The 7th inning run-scoring single. Koosman changes, and a breaking pitch is low, and it's 1-1. 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out. The line scores the same for both teams. No runs, hits, or errors. Another breaking pitch. This curve drops over, and it's strike 2. 1-2 to Brooks Robinson. Best of 7 series. New York has 3 chances to win one more and win the series. Robinson fouls the ball to the screen, and now it is still 1-2. That's why the Mets now are such overwhelming favorites to win this World Series, because only 3 times previously have a team that has been behind 3 games to 1 come back to win, but including last year when Detroit did it. Breaking pitch, ground ball on 3 hops to Harrelson at short. The overhand throw, and there's the second out. 1925, the Senators led the Pittsburgh Pirates 3 games to 1, but Pittsburgh won it. 1958, the Milwaukee Braves led the Yankees 3 games to 1, but the Yanks won it. And last year, the Cards were breezing 3-1, but lost to the Tigers. The Orioles are trying to become the 4th team in World Series history, and this is the 66 World Series to be able to do it. Davey Johnson, 0 for 12 on the series, 0 for 2 against Koosman in the second game of the series. Takes a breaking pitch and lines it off the glove of Charles. One hop came up to Charles, went past his glove, and Cleon Jones has it. And Johnson is out on first base. Took a little bad hop. I would imagine that it'll be labeled a hit, but we'll await. It is a hit. That's the first base runner for the Baltimore Orioles, and here's Andy Etchebarren, the catcher. Etchebarren has only played in one other game, and that was in the game that Koosman pitched. That day, he was 0 for 3, but he hit a line drive to center field, and Agee had to go way back on to catch, and then Swoboda made a fine catch on him down in the right field corner. So he swung the bat pretty good. Takes a fastball at the knee, strike 1. 2 out in the second. Koosman, who worked the first 6 innings of that second game without giving up a hit, has given up a hit now here in the second game. And Blair and Robinson hit the ball well in the top of the first. Back again, ground ball, 1 big hop to Ed Charles at third. He throws on to second for the force. And the Orioles go down. No runs, 1 hit, no errors, and 1 left. In the middle of the second, New York nothing and Baltimore nothing.
Waxing your car?
Oh, yes.
You keep it nice and clean outside. How about inside? Do you keep your engine that clean, too?
Oh, should I?
Well, engines do get dirty.
I guess so.
The more you drive, the harder your engine works. And the harder your engine works, the dirtier it can get, and the worse it runs.
Oh, sounds reasonable. What's the solution?
The Anti-Pollution Team. Phillips 66 gasolines and Trop Arctic motor oils.
Oh, real nice names.
By fighting pollution in your engine, they help keep pollution out of the air. So you get a better running engine, and we all get cleaner air. Think you'll get the Anti-Pollution Team next time you drive?
Oh, I don't drive. Wife does.
The Anti-Pollution Team, only from Phillips 66.
Back in New York, Ed Charles swings and misses at the first pitch from Dave Mcnally to lead off the second inning of this scoreless ball game, to be followed by Grody and Weiss. McNally, the left-hander, trying to keep Baltimore alive. Throws again. Brooks Robinson has the short hop. Another fine play and fires on to first for the out. That second hop did not come up the way Robinson expected, but by now you know the kind of third base he plays, and he threw out Charles.
Number 15,
Jerry Grody, hitting .267 on the series, 4 for 15, and is the only man in the World Series with 1 hit in each of the 4 games. Robinson made a great play on him back in the second game. Takes a strike from McNally. First game, Brooks shown at third base. Second game, he had some good plays, but then the play began to be taken away from him by the Mets outfielders. Agee on Tuesday, Swoboda yesterday. McNally ready for the 1-strike pitch. Strike 2, called to Jerry Grody. A .252 hitter during the year, 6 home runs, 40 RBIs, and I think you'll remember a year ago, Jerry was doing so well in 1968 that he was the starting catcher for the National League All-Stars. McNally ready, throwing, fly ball, right center field. Back goes Blair over to his left. Now stops and takes it for the second out. Ball was not hit that deeply, but Blair was playing straightaway center, and this went to the power alley, 396 mark, and Blair took it in rather short right center. Here is Al Weiss, 4 for 7 on the series, .571. His batting average is compared to his regular season average of .215. 4 walks, 2 RBIs, and against McNally in Baltimore, 2 for 3, including the winning RBI. Ball 1, outside. The one time that Weiss went down was on a curve from Mcnally in under his hands. And he struck him out. There's a line drive, and Belanger leaps about a foot and takes it for the third out. Weiss continues to hit it hard, but it's caught. Runs, hits, or errors, none left. At the end of 2, we've got a scoreless ball game.
If you want a car that makes it, Plymouth makes it. It's the flash that lights the photograph when you take it. It's the new affair that's starting now.
If you want luxury at a Plymouth price, Plymouth makes the Fury.
It's the greatest new adventure you can find. It's a state of mind.
32 new Fury models on a wider stance with big, smooth looks. If you want to move into the 70s in style, Plymouth makes it.
Plymouth makes it. If you want a car that makes it, Plymouth makes it.
Bill O'Donnell and Jim Simpson, and we've completed 2 innings now. No runs, 1 hits for Baltimore off Koosman. No runs, no hits for New York off Mcnally. And Mcnally had a smoother bottom of the second inning than he did in the bottom of the first against the Mets when he had to go to 27 pitches before retiring the side. He set down the Mets in inning 2 with only 8 pitches and was ahead of the first 2 batters, Charles and Grody. Jim?
Mark Belanger swings on the first pitch and fouls it out of play. Belanger 2 for 12 on the series for 167, much below his season average of 287. Against Koosman in the second game, 0 for 3, but lined very deep to Agee. And believe it or not, we have a balloon on the field, and Ed Charles comes over and with his spikes just pops it in back of the mound on the third base side. Charles playing even with the bag at third base for Belanger, who will poke the ball to right field, and the outfield is pulled that way. There's a high pitch from Koosman. It's 1-1. Agee is in shallow center field and pulled to the right. Swoboda is near the line and playing shallow also. The 1-1 pitch to Belanger, and he swings late, fouls it back, and it's 1-2. Cut under the ball. Clendenon at first, Weiss at second, Harrelson at short, Charles at third, Jones in left, Agee in center, Swoboda in right, Jerry Grody the catcher, and Koosman the pitcher. Throwing to Belanger, line drive to right field, base hit. Well, they play him that way, but that's where Mark gets his hits. They throw behind him at the plate. Grody tried to throw him off the bag, and the first base umpire, Lee Wire, is leaning over to Grody and now going after him to tell him, don't try to push him off the bag. Base hit Belanger.
Jim, despite the fact that Grody gave Belanger, some pretty good body contact at first base, Grody, however, was very alert to get to first base. And it's nothing new because Grody has done that quite a few times this season and taken throws from the right fielder against a runner taking a big turn.
Mcnally, the batter, can hit the ball and most likely is up there to do some bunting. We shall see. He looks as though he's going to hits a long drive left field. Jones goes back, puts his glove up. Home run. Mcnally puts Baltimore in front 2-0. And it has stunned the crowd of Mets of more than 57,000. I said he could hit the ball. 3 home runs last year, another this year. He hit a couple over the fence in batting practice today. You wondered whether or not the Orioles were going to play safe. They need runs, but they let the pitcher swing away, hit the first pitch, home run. Bill?
And included, Jim, among those home runs you mentioned a year ago, Mcnally, of all things, had a grand slam home run.
Nobody out. And the shoe is on the other foot for the moment. Buford, the batter, takes low from Koosman. And you would have thought we had entered a time capsule when Mcnally hit that home run. The Mets fans got deathly quiet. Outside corner with a breaking pitch by Koosman, and it's a strike. 1-1 to Don Buford. Already. Well, let's wait for Koosman's pitch. Big breaking pitch, lined foul off to the right. The Orioles have scored more runs on that one base hit by Mcnally, a home run, than they did in their last two ball games. 5-0 on Tuesday, 2-1 yesterday. They had not had an extra base hit since Buford's home run and double in the first game. But pitcher Dave Mcnally has put himself in front 2-0. Koosman back with a pitch. Ground ball slowly hit. Harrelson has to charge it. Up with it. Throws on and has the speedy Buford by a step. Good play by Harrelson. And that will bring up Paul Blair.
Paul Blair.
Third inning, 2-0.
Number 6.
As Earl Weaver, in a scoreless ball game, McNally, the batter, said swing away, and McNally, who had punched a couple of balls over the fence in batting practice, hit the first pitch, a fastball from Koosman, and lined it for a home run. Blair hit the ball hard last time, takes a strike on the inside corner. Lined it to center field, and Tommy Agee on the first pitch he saw. Strike one now, 2-0. Baltimore, top of the third. Koosman back, throws the ball in the dirt in front of the plate. It's ball one. Occasionally, and more than occasionally, sometimes throughout the game, you will hear jet aircraft. LaGuardia Airport is just a few yards away. Look out, Blair lost his bat, and it hit the box in which the Baltimore officials are seated, down by the Baltimore dugout. Blair goes back to rub up the bat and his hands. It was a swinging strike, and it's 1-2 to Paul. Now ready again. The wind, as we said, is blowing from right to left. But McNally tagged the ball hard. There was no mistake about that. Swinging and fouling an inside pitch. And off the face mask, I believe, of Lou DeMuro, the plate umpire, who takes his mask off and will now put it back on. Well, it was let's go Mets for a while, but now the Mets fans are quiet as Koosman is working down 2-0, but he has struck out Paul Blair on a swinging strike. Strikeout number one for Koosman, who has walked no one. McNally has hit the home run to put his team in front 2-0 and has struck out two of the Mets, but walked two of the Mets, and has not allowed a hit. 2 runs, 3 hits, no errors for Baltimore. No runs, no hits, no errors for the Mets. 2 runs in this, the third inning, with 2 down, and here is Frank Robinson. Ron Swoboda made a fine running catch toward the right field line, waist high of his drive. This drive, deep to left center field. The outfielders don't go back for it. 3-0 on Robinson's mammoth home run. It's over everything and into the parking lot.
Simpson, the home run by Frank Robinson went right between the 371 and 396-foot markers, and then, as you said, went out to the parking lot. So let's guess it went about 400 feet.
3-0, and now the fans are buzzing again, and Big Boog Powell. Well, a home run and a double by Buford in the first game. This is the fifth. They need it. They've had 2 home runs in 1 inning. Powell takes outside and low from Koosman for ball 1. The Orioles with perhaps their strongest pitcher, Dave Mcnally, on the mound. A 20-game winner, now lead 3-0 in the third. Koosman comes back with a breaking pitch that misses. It's 2-0. On each home run, it has been a fastball on the first pitch. First to McNally, and then to Frank Robinson. McNally's came with a man on base. Robinson's with none on. Koosman ready and throws a fastball, and with a check swing, Powell fouls it down the left field line and into the seats. Well, if this lead holds up, it's on to Baltimore for the 6th game on Saturday. Otherwise, you know the obvious, what many thought might happen today, that the game and the series end right here. Powell grounds the ball foul at the plate and over toward the first base boxes. George Stoller comes over to retrieve it. George came over and wanting to see whether or not anybody would lean out and pick up the ball. He was going to let them have a World Series souvenir, but when no one did, he picked it up and tossed it aside. 2-2 to Big Boog Powell, who himself had 37 home runs during the regular season. Swings and strikes out, but 3 runs on 3 hits, 2 of them home runs. No errors and none left. In the middle of the third, Baltimore 3, New York 0.
One morning, Wally Buckley discovered he had a case of the nubs.
The nubs?
The nubs. The tiny little part of his beard his razor couldn't get.
They're all over my face.
Fortunately, the Gillette Techmatic razor gets rid of the nubs. Techmatic adjusts to shave you closer. Techmatic gave Wally the closest shave he ever had. No nicks, no cuts, no nubs.
Boy, that was close.
Techmatic by Gillette. It gets the nubs.
Leave alone with umpire Flinch Sternly, finding out what kind of people use which kind of right guard. Why the name Flinch?
Oh, I've been called that since the foul tip jammed into my face mask. I don't flinch anymore, but the name's stuck.
You're calling balls and strikes.
Right, I have the tense job of judging each pitch.
You use right guard antiperspirant?
Yes, with my proximity to the catcher and batters, I need the antiperspirant's protection against both odor and wetness. I take enough abuse without giving them that to snare at.
Two kinds of people, two kinds of right guard.
The third base ump prefers right guard regular. Much less aggravation there.
Well, the home run that Frank Robinson just hit, his fourth in World Series history. He had one when he was with the Reds in Cincinnati back in 1961, and two with the Orioles in 66. Downstairs now to Tony Kubek and Pearl Bailey.
You're eating a hot dog like a true Mets fan. I tell you, everybody's getting so nervous. No, of course not. Jerry I said he had an arm.
Field line. Hitting the first pitch from Dave Mcnally. And that's the first hit off McNally, and what a mistake David made, because Jerry Koosman was 11 for 177 during the regular season. 0.62 his average, struck out 62 times for a record for a pitcher last year, and 47 times this year. Was 0 for 4 against McNally in Baltimore and struck out twice down there. But McNally ahead 3-0 made the pitch too good. And Koosman has lined it for a double to left. And here comes Tommy Agee, who walked and stole second back in the first inning. 3-0 Baltimore. We're in the third as the Mets and their fans come back. McNally ready. Fires to Agee, and the pitch is up high. Ball one. Kneeling on deck is Bud Harrelson. Two-run home run by Dave McNally, and a long blast out of the ballpark by Frank Robinson has the Orioles in front. But here come the Mets. McNally looking in, got off to a wobbly start, but was better in the second inning and made the mistake to Koosman here in the third and throws a strike now to Agee. And it's 1-1. Eddie Yost looking down at his pitcher, Koosman on second base, who stares back and walks off, has the jacket on. Rather cool weather in New York. 1-1 the count. McNally looks back at the runner, Koosman, and now throws just off the corner to Agee. And it's 2-1. Tommy has 2 hits and 15 times at bat. Struck out twice against McNally in Baltimore. The wind continues to blow from right to left. McNally throws high again. He is wild high, and it is 3-1. He went 3-2 on Agee in the first inning before walking him, 3-2 on Harrelson before striking him out, and 3-2 on Clendenon before walking him. So Dave has thrown a lot of pitches. McNally ready again. On the 3-1, Agee is swinging, but pops it up. In short center field, Blair comes on, running a little harder now. There's wind there, and he's almost in back of second base and has it.
Shortstop.
As soon as the ball left the bat, Davy Johnson pointed out to Blair and said, "It's all yours." I think Blair was closer, Johnson, but of course Blair had the play in front of him all the way. The wind held it up a little bit. Mcnally and Etchebarren now talking at the mound as Harrelson steps in. 3 hits in the series. In 4 tries against McNally, he has failed to hit him safely. Switch hitter, batting right-handed today. 3-0 the Orioles. We're in the last of the third of the 5th game of the World Series. McNally throws, fouled back over our heads, and it's strike 1 to Bud Harrelson. Bud hasn't driven a run in the ball game, has his chance, or I should say in the series, has his chance in this ball game, with Cleon Jones standing on deck. Baltimore, with 3 runs, now has more runs than its had in the 3 games since their opener, in which they scored 4. Pitch right down the middle, changed on him a little bit and fooled him. And it's strike 2 to Harrelson. 2 strikes the count in a series in which nobody expected the amazing Mets to be here. But here they are, 44-12 their record since August the 16th. They swept the Braves. They lost the first to Baltimore. They've won the next 3. They've only got to win 1 of the final 3, if it goes that far, to take the championship. But as of the moment, they trail 3-0 to Baltimore. The 2-strike pitch to Harrelson. Off the corner, outside, and it's 1-2. Baltimore, on the other hand, had a great spurt in June and wound up with 109 victories and ran away with the Eastern Division of the American League. And then ran away from the Twins after 2 close games with Minnesota, beating them badly in the 3rd game, 11-2, to also sweep their league championship playoff. Mcnally walked 2 in the 1st, got everybody in order in the 3rd, and has given up a double to Koosman here, in the 2nd rather, and given up a double to Koosman here in the 3rd. Off-speed pitch, and has Harrelson striking out. 3rd strikeout.
Left fielder.
For Mcnally, who has walked 2. Now with 2 out, Cleon Jones, who is 2 for 17 in the series, comes up. Mcnally now ready. Koosman still at 2nd. First pitch, low ball 1. Koosman hit the first pitch and lined it down the left field line between Robinson and the bag for the double. Agee then flied to short center field, and Harrelson has just struck out swinging. Leon Jones, a dangerous hitter, trying to get a run on the scoreboard for the Mets. Mcnally throws, and it's high, and it's 2-0. And Clendenon is kneeling on deck. 3 runs on 4 hits. No errors for the Orioles, no runs, 1 hit, and no errors for the Mets in the last of the 3rd. On what is now a completely cloudy day. No patch of blue almost anywhere. Overcast, but no rain forecast. Mcnally ready on 2-0 and gets the strike in there, 2-1. Howells at first, Johnson second, Belanger short, Robinson third, Don Buford in left, Paul Blair in center, Frank Robinson in right, Andy Etchebarren the catcher, and Mcnally the pitcher staring in for the sign. And is ready. Taking his time, now throws, ground ball foul, and someone on the front steps of the Baltimore dugout catches it on the second hop. The Met fans came in a festive mood, figuring that the Mets would wrap it up right here. They may yet do it, but the fans have quieted down, and the Orioles have taken the lead, 3-0. 2-2 the count to Jones. 2 out in the 3rd with Koosman a good 15 to 20 feet off second base. Now the Met fans come alive, looking for the base hit from Cleon Jones. High in the air and in the infield. Boog Powell calls. Now Davy Johnson calls. There may be a collision. Powell moves in front. Has it for the 3rd out. No runs, 1 hit, no errors, none left. At the end of 3, Baltimore 3, and the New York Mets nothing.
Second floor, refrigerators, formerly $195, now $215, going up.
If you had a fire in your home today and had to replace everything, this is what you'd find when you went shopping.
Third floor, living room sofas, formerly $210, now $225, going up.
Basic things have gone up 5, 10, 20%. Then there's the cost of your house itself. This is why the Hartford invented Inflation Guard, the first homeowner's insurance policy that protects you against inflation automatically. To keep up with rising replacement costs, the Hartford boosts the value of your policy every 3 months.
Sixth floor, rugs.
New Inflation Guard. The way prices are always going up, can you afford to be without it? Insurance by the Hartford. We try to keep things simple.
Together with Jim Simpson, Bill O'Donnell back with you at New York Shea Stadium. We will go to the top of the 4th inning.
And Koosman will be opposing Brooks Robinson, Dave Johnson, and Andy Etchebarren. The Orioles in the top of the third scored more runs than in the previous 3 games combined. They were held to a run in Game 2, were shut out in Game 3, and checked again yesterday by only 1 run against the Mets pitching. The Orioles lead 3-0 on 4 base hits. The Mets with only 1 hit thus far off Mcnally, who has had, however, some control difficulty. Jim Simpson again.
Thanks, Bill O'Donnell. And Brooks Robinson, who grounded out to the shortstop, is up for the second time in this game. Brooks 1 for 16 on the series with 2 RBIs. Breaking pitch from Koosman is ball 1. Baltimore leading 3-0. New York leading 3-1 in the series. Another breaking pitch. This one is a strike. If you like to project a little bit, and I don't know the ball fan that doesn't, the Mets fans would rather not, of course, I'll give you something to think about. Koosman is back again with another breaking pitch in the dirt and gets by Grody. If Baltimore should win here today to make it 3-2, that means the winningest percentage pitcher in the American League, Jim Palmer, will go against the rookie Gary Gentry on Saturday. And if Baltimore should win there, we're back to Stephen Cuellar. High pop, out of play, off the bat of Robinson, foul to the right. So that's something we could look ahead to. But, of course, the Mets may yet come back and take this game and take the World Series right here at Shea Stadium. Count is 2-2 to Brooks Robinson, the leadoff batter in the 4th inning. Left-hander Jerry Koosman back with another breaking pitch, high in the air, not too deep. A.G. in right center field, rather left center fielder, says he's got it right in front of Cleon Jones. And there's one out.
Second baseman, Dave Johnson.
Here's Dave Johnson,
number 15.
who singled to left last time up, but was forced to end the inning by Etchebarren. And when he singled to left, it was his first hit in 13 attempts in the World Series. Koosman throws a breaking pitch. He swings and misses. Strike 1. On deck is the catcher, Etchebarren. Koosman comes back with another bouncing ball, or rather curveball, and it's bounced right back to him. As Davey probably was guessing fastball and just got the bat over the plate and bounced it right back.
Catcher, Andy Etchebarren.
Here's Etchebarren, who grounded to Charles, who threw on to second to force Davey Johnson to end the second inning. Etchebarren, who had 3 home runs during the regular season, hit 2 long balls, as we said, off Koosman in the second game. Takes a fastball, strike 1. Hit one deep to A.G., and Swoboda made quite a catch on him down on the corner. Koosman back with a 1-strike pitch. Fastball inside and low, and it's 1-1. On deck, Mark Belanger. Etchebarren, they play as though he's going to hit to right, and he does ground to the right side. Weiss is there on the second big hop, throws on to Clendenon, and Koosman gets them in order. No runs, hits, or errors. At the middle of the 4th inning, it is still the Orioles 3 and the Mets nothing.
Hey, Bill, did you get rid of that plunker yet? You mean my wife? No, your car.
No, it's running great now. I can hardly believe it.
Man, the last time you were in here, all you did was moan about how bad the motor was missing and the noise.
Yeah, I know, but I put some new stuff in the gas tank. Got it down at the station. And wow, it's like someone put a supercharger on it or something.
No kidding.
Yeah, really. Could feel the difference right away.
What was it, TNT?
No, STP.
Oh, wait a minute, Phil. I thought you said you put it in the gasoline. No, STP is for the oil.
Nah, you're thinking of STP oil treatment. This is something different. STP gasoline treatment. It's like a complete motor tune-up.
STP gas treatment, huh?
And you know the best part, Charlie? I was thinking of selling that car, and I fixed it fine for only 65 cents.
STP gasoline treatment. You can feel the difference with the very first can. Ask Mario Andretti, Indy 500 winner.
In Game 5 of the World Series, the Orioles are leading by a score of 3-0 over the Mets. And New York in the bottom of the 4th inning to go against Mcnally will come on with Clendenon, Swoboda, and Charles. Mcnally has had
better effectiveness with his fastball than he's had with his breaking ball. And he's picked up 3 strikeouts, but he's also walked 2. In the bottom of the 4th inning, here's Clendenon and Jim Simpson.
Strike with a breaking pitch on the outside corner to Clendenon, and we'll report again that the National League book on Clendenon is keep the ball in on him. Mcnally worked him outside Sunday and gave up a home run, and that pitch was on the outside of the plate. Here's another one catching the outside corner. But Clendenon didn't think it was over. It's strike 2. 2 pitches outside corner. Both of them just nipping the edge. Now Clendenon must guard the plate. Mcnally comes back, fastball inside, making him bend back just a bit. And it's 1-2. For Clendenon, they're shaded slightly to the left, but he can hit the ball to right. Mcnally ready again for the 1-2 pitch. Fastball right down the middle, and he is called out on strikes. Clendenon drops his bat at home plate, puts his hands on his hips, and goes back to talk to Lou DeMuro. And as talking to DeMuro, the bat boy has to come out and get the bat. And now Don walks away on 3 pitches. Make that 4 pitches. He goes down, looking at a 3rd called strike. Strikeout number 4 for Dave McNally. Here's Juan Swoboda, who struck out swinging at a fastball on a 2-2 count to end the 1st. Gets a fastball there, swings and misses. McNally not known primarily as a fastball pitcher, as we've said all along, curves and sliders. But in that league championship game against Minnesota, he was throwing very hard. Kneeling on deck is Ed Charles. McNally ready. And throws a fastball right back under the glove of McNally for the 2nd base hit for the New York Mets. And the 5th hit for Ron Swoboda, who now has more than any other member of the New York Mets or Baltimore staff.
Number 5.
Charles is 2 for 12 on the series. 2 for 4 against McNally in the 2nd game. Grounded the 3rd last time up, swings and misses, and I want to tell you, Ed, not known as a home run hitter, only 3 on the year, took a big cut. American and National League umpires work a game differently behind the plate. The National League umpire gets down on the inside shoulder of the catcher and stares across the plate. The American League works right over his head, looking down on the plate. Fastball hit high in the air, could be caught. Foul, throwing away the mask is Etchebarren. It is very high. Backs on it, has it for the 2nd out, behind home plate. And that'll bring up Brody, who flied deep to Blair in center, back in the 2nd inning.
Number 15.
Swoboda now leads everybody with 5 hits for the series, but Brody has 4. McNally looks in. Etchebarren has given him the sign. Leading off is the base runner, Swoboda, as there's a called strike to Brody. Now, this is the centennial year for the game of baseball, 100 years old. What 100 years there have been, and what a year this has been with the amazing Mets and more than 28 million people watching regular season play. McNally back throws inside to Brody, and it's 1-1. It will be story enough for the New York Mets and their fans if this game is won today by New York. But for all of baseball and for the country and the world listening, what a series it would be if it did go the full 7, as the last 2 World Series have gone. McNally ready, 1-1. Fastball. Belanger on the 2nd hop will run to 2nd base and beats the runner Swoboda to get McNally and the Orioles out of the innings. No runs, 1 hit, no errors, and 1 man left. At the end of 4 complete, Baltimore's out in front, 3-0 over New York.
If you want a car that makes it, Plymouth makes it.
If you know what's happening and want to be there, Plymouth makes the CUDA.
If you swing with a crowd that moves fast and thinks young, Plymouth makes Duster.
If you want luxury inside and out, Plymouth makes the Sport Fury Brougham.
If you want a car that goes beep beep, Plymouth makes the Roadrunner.
If you dig new sounds, Plymouth makes it.
If you like wild new colors and mod tops, Plymouth makes the Mod Top Barracuda.
If you want a car that makes it, Plymouth makes it.
Let's pause 30 seconds for station identification.
WGY, Schenectady.
The difference between the right word and the wrong word, it's been said, is like the difference between lightning and lightning bug. Which brings to mind the difference between Saratoga Vichy and its drab alternative, tap water. It's a choice between a unique, fascinating mixer or the same lackluster liquid with which one washes automobiles. And oneself. Saratoga Vichy in that green bottle with the vivid yellow label.
Leadoff batter Mark Belanger takes ball one outside, and Kuzman, working fast, comes back with another pitch, a fastball that catches the outside corner, and it's 1-1. I guess if you stare around Shea Stadium today, you can pick out any number of celebrities, but we have just spotted Louis Satchmo Armstrong looking on. 1-1 to count. Fly ball off to the right, and out of play, foul. Belanger hit a ball to right field for a single in the third inning and scored ahead of Dave Mcnally's first pitch home run over the left field fence into the Baltimore bullpen. Later in that same third, Frank Robinson hit the first pitch of fastball out of the ballpark for a home run, and there are the 3 runs. Drive to right center field, but Swoboda has only to move a few steps and has it, playing him perfectly. Dave Mcnally, who swung at the first pitch. When the question was he going to bunt the man down or swing away? He swung away. No double play, but a 2-run homer. And McNally's only given up 2 hits. 3 runs, 4 hits, no errors for Baltimore. No runs, 2 hits, no errors for New York. And we are in the top of the 5th. Kuzman working again. McNally swinging again on first pitch, but this time it's a breaking pitch on the outside corner, and he misses it. Kuzman can throw the hard slider, and I believe he did on that occasion. Back with a 1-strike pitch, fastball right down the middle, and McNally took this one for strike 2. Orioles got 4 runs in the first game, which they won. Kuzman ready to throw, breaking pitch, and he strikes him out. That's the 3rd strikeout for Kuzman.
Left fielder.
And brings up Dom Buford, 0 for 2 on the day. Orioles got 4 runs in the first game, which they won. Only 1 in the second game, which they lost. None in the third. And only 1 yesterday to lose their last 3. But they have 3 already today. Buford has grounded twice to Harrelson at shortstop and is 0 for 6 in a series of appearances against Jerry Kuzman. 57,397, and I think that's even more, yes it is, than we had yesterday, by 30. Yesterday we had 57,367. Today, 57,397 in Shea Stadium. The pitch to Buford, hard slider on the inside corner, another hard one, strike 1. On deck is Paul Blair. They play Buford straight away. Fastball is outside, and it's 1-1. Kuzman won 19 as a rookie, 17 this year in his second year. 1-1 pitch. Back with another fastball, and Buford is out in front of it, swinging and missing. Strike 2. Kuzman took something off the fastball that time, and Buford was jumping on it. 1-2. Back with a curveball, lined out to right field. Swoboda goes over it, may drop between them. Swoboda is there, backhanded catch. The big catch of yesterday when he robbed the Orioles of a possible victory, but still a fine running catch by Ron Swoboda. No runs, hits, or errors for the Orioles. And in the middle of the 5th, it's 3-0 Baltimore.
Some men have average size hands. Some men have big hands. For men with average hands, Gillette introduces our new adjustable razor with an average size handle. For men with big hands, Gillette introduces our new adjustable razor with a long handle. Both new razors have 9 precision settings. Gillette figures a more comfortable razor in your hand means a more comfortable shave.
Have you heard about the latest Gillette invention? It's an aerosol shave cream called the Hot One that actually heats up right under your very nose. No kidding, you don't have to hold the can under hot water or plug it in or do anything like it, because the Hot One gets hot all by itself, right out of the can. And the fact is, hot shave cream softens whiskers quicker than cold shave cream to give you a faster, more comfortable shave. So why shave with the cold ones when you can shave with the Hot One? The self-heating shave cream from Gillette. Last of the 5th. Baltimore leads it 3-0. And here's Bill O'Donnell.
Thank you, Jim Simpson, and hello again, everybody. Weiss, the number 8 batter, to lead off for the Mets in the bottom of the 5th inning against left-hander Mcnally. Backs him off with a fastball, belt high, 1-0. Weiss has been up once today, and he's lined to the shortstop, Belanger. Koosman, with a heavy jacket, has come on deck. McNally winding to the side, whips in 1-0. Strike is called right down the middle. 1 ball and 1 strike to Weiss, one of the many heroes the Mets have had in their 3 victories over the Orioles in the first 4 games of the World Series. 1-1 pitch. Curve, fanned at and missed. He chased a pitch down to his knees. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Weiss bats from the right side. He's played to shallow and straightaway center field by Blair. Blair is not back deep. McNally ahead. Back he comes 1-2 with a curve foul back of the plate on the ground. A ball, 2 strikes to Al Weiss, young man who is out of Elmhurst, Illinois. The Mets have had 2 base hits off McNally. Koosman had the first one as he ripped a double to left in the 3rd, and Svoboda bounced a ground shot single through the box out to center in the 4th inning. 1-2 again from McNally. A curve bounced slow to the 3rd, charged by Robinson back of the grass. Hurries his throw and in time to first baseman Powell. Weiss bouncing out, Robinson to Powell. 1 away in the bottom of the 5th inning. And the greeting now will be for the Mets' fine young left-hander, Jerry Koosman. Koosman did not have an extra base hit during the regular campaign, but picked up a 2-bagger his first trip to the plate in this ball game. He, like McNally, throws left-handed, but like McNally also bats right-handed. McNally's fastball foul right back off the end of Koosman's bat. Koosman, a Minnesotan by birth and education, lives here right now in the New York area. 1 strike pitch is a curve neatly thrown to the belt for strike 2 call. 0-2 to Koosman. 1 away, A.G. is the on-deck batter. Baltimore leading 3-0 in the bottom of the 5th inning of Game 5. McNally began to lean forward and get Etchebarren's wig wagging, then suddenly broke contact with the rubber and reached back to finger up on the rosin bag. He's back on top again. His 2-strike pitch off the outside corner. 1 ball, 2 strikes. McNally, as he is picking up Etchebarren's sides, will place the ball right in the glove, then grip it. He winds and throws. 1-2, a swing and a miss. He strikes out Koosman on a breaking ball into Koosman's hands. And McNally now has 5 strikeouts in 4 2/3 innings of work. Now the head of the New York Mets order, Tommy A.G., who's been a great hero with the glove. The catches that A.G. has made in this series have been compared to previous World Series fantastic catches by the likes of Amoros and John Frito and Mays. 2 gone. He runs up to bunt, pushes it out to 3rd. Barehanded and lost by Brooks Robinson. Brooks Robinson charged halfway up on the grass from 3rd base. A.G. laid down a neat bunt. Robinson charged, reached down with the bare hand. He may have gotten a piece of the bare hand on the ball and then it tricked on behind him, closer to the bag at 3rd base. So A.G. has a bunt single. It is A.G.'s 3rd base hit in the series. It is the Mets' 3rd base hit in this ball game, and suddenly, Met fans with 2 out come alive. The batter is the switch-swinging Bud Harrelson. Fastball. Here's a fly ball to center field. Blair came in. Blair should make the play. He makes it in center field to retire the side.
At the end of 5 innings of play, Baltimore 3, New York nothing.
Alabama, 21. Arizona, 10. Arkansas, 12. California, 92. Colorado.
This week, over 1,000 people will be killed on America's highways. If you're driving right now, think about it. At the Hartford, we think about it all the time.
Idaho, 5. Illinois, 48. Indiana, 30. Iowa, 16.
This is why we support safety programs that would get the drunk, the tailgater, the speeder, all the reckless drivers off the highways.
15.
We want to make the roads safer for you.
17. Michigan, 41. Minnesota, 18.
Insurance by the Hartford. We try to keep things simple.
From Shea Stadium in New York City, Jim Simpson along with Bill O'Donnell. And we go to the 6th inning for the Baltimore Orioles and Paul Blair, Frank Robinson, and Boog Powell. Baltimore has left only one man on base. They have struck quickly. In the second, make that the third, Belanger single to right. McNally's home run scored him to make it 2-0, and Robinson later added a home run to make it 3-0. The Mets have had their chances. They left 5 men on base with 3 base hits and 2 walks, but have failed to score. And now to the 6th, Baltimore leading 3-0, and Bill O'Donnell.
It'll be Paul Blair who has fly deep to center field and was also fanned by a breaking pitch from Koosman in the 3rd inning. Koosman, 25 years old, 6'2", 205 pounds, and he trails with the Mets in the ball game by a score of 3-0. Blair looking for his 3rd base hit in this series. He is 2 for 18. He'll be followed by Frank Robinson. Charles plays him tight at 3rd and off the line. Breaking ball is low to Blair, ball 1. Blair, 26 home runs on the American League season and produced 7 of those 26 against the tough staff of the Minnesota Twins. 1-0. Fastball a little outside. 2 balls and no strikes. Blair had 2-0 against the Mets left-hander. Southpaw winding back over the head. Kicks and throws. Here's a line drive. Deep center field. Agee going back to the warning track. Reaches up and he makes the catch. Agee turned a bit to his left on the warning track. Suddenly reached up the glove and got the line drive off Blair's back on the front of that warning track. Blair has lined to his opposing center fielder. And the batter is Frank Robinson, who homered in the 3rd and lined to right in the 1st inning. Frank has 3 hits in the series, including that 3rd inning home run wallop. Fastball is foul right back to the screen. Koosman just challenged the power of Frank Robinson and challenged him right to his hands. 1 strike. Frank, who as soon as this World Series is over, will become a manager in Winter League play down in the Puerto Rican League. Another one fastball is in for strike call this time. 2 strikes to Robinson. Koosman has simply leaned back, roared back, and shown Frank Robinson his best fastballs. He's 2 strikes in front. Deals 0-2. He backs him off, and he may have hit Frank on the hand, and Frank is saying it hit me on the hand and on the hip, and the plate umpire Lou DeMura saying it ticked off the bat foul. Earl Weaver and Frank Robinson now are both complaining to Lou DeMura. And now Robinson and Weaver are both asking DeMura to ask the first base umpire Wire about the call. Frank Robinson showed DeMura his hand and also his hip and said the ball hit the hand and also hit the hip, and DeMura said it ticked off the bat. So we've got a rhubarb here in the 6th inning. Yesterday, it was Crawford and Weaver who had the rhubarb in the 3rd inning, and Weaver was tossed out. The first manager to be tossed out of a World Series since Charlie Grimm was thumbed out in the mid-30s.
Frank Robinson, as you said, Bill, keeps saying, ask Lee Wire down at first base. Wire down at first base is the man who says whether or not a swing has been checked or completed. But DeMuro pointed to himself, insisting, I'm the man that knows whether or not the ball hit the bat or hit you. And it's Robinson going back now into the dugout and furious as Powell just wakes on deck, and Robinson now apparently has something wrong with his hand and may have hurt it, and the trainer's taking him back.
Jim, I just saw Frank Robinson walk down the end steps in the dugout, and obviously he is walking in the runway. Obviously Frank Robinson has asked for time because he was joined as he walked down the steps, and we assume through the runway, by the Oriole trainer, Ralph Salvon.
Apparently he was hit just below the belt, and Robinson has gone out of the way now. Powell taking big swings on deck, and Koosman continues to warm in this 3-0 ball game. And while we await the return of Frank Robinson, we pause 30 seconds for station identification.
WGY Schenectady.
Saratoga Ginger Ale is not Saratoga Vichy with ginger flavor added. We're not sure where that rumor got started, though we have our ideas. In any event, what Saratoga Ginger Ale is a quite unusual, delicious drink with its own identity altogether. It's gingery without being snappish, mellow without being gooey, altogether luscious. But then the Saratoga people do everything in good taste.
Jim Simpson with Bill O'Donnell. Earl Weaver, who was thrown out yesterday, told umpire Lou DeMuro, "I'll go check." He disappeared down the steps of the dugout, up the alleyway toward the dressing room, and came back and yelled to DeMuro that he'll be back in just a minute. DeMuro apparently has said all right, and now Weaver is walking toward those steps once again. Robinson, in all fairness to the Baltimore outfielder, was hit just below the stomach line and has gone back with the trainer. But behind the Baltimore dugout, you'd never know it from Met fans. They're waving handkerchiefs now at DeMuro and insisting that he come out. And now we can see Robinson adjusting his belt with his shirt tail out as he comes up the dugout steps. So Frank has been treated by the manager, or rather by the trainer, and is coming back, and when he does, he has strike two on him. There's a saying around the National League, Bill, and I'm sure around the American League too. The one man that you never want to make mad with a bat in his hands is Frank Robinson. He becomes a much tougher opponent. Not that he's tough all the time, but once he's been knocked down or infuriated. Well, let's see how it works out. 2 strikes against him. He feels he's been wrong. He's about to step out of the dugout with a count of 2 strikes, 1 out in the 6th inning, and Baltimore leading 3-0.
Jim, Frank Robinson, more than any other member of the Oriole Ball Club, guards home plate. That is to say, he stands as close as he can to the inside restraining line. Many times, not only this season, but in past seasons, since he became a member of the Orioles in 1966, Frank Robinson has been knocked down by opposing pitchers, has come right back up and cleared the ballpark for home runs. The feeling right now is Frank Robinson was worked over by trainer Ralph Salvon was that he had a bruise on his leg, and that's why the Oriole trainer had to work on Frank Robinson. So now he's back inside the batter's box. Koosman still has a 2-strike count on him. Koosman winds. He deals Robinson, who fouls it off to the upper deck back of the plate. During 1969, Frank Robinson was hit 13 times by American League pitchers. Koosman firing again, 0-2 to Robinson. A high curve makes it a ball and 2 strikes. Robinson has minced no words. He has told people that when his playing days are over, he wants to become a manager, but wants only to become a manager in the major leagues. Ball 1 and 2 strikes with 1 out in the top of the 6th inning. Koosman to the plate with a curve. Was felt high to Frank Robinson, and Koosman took a little bit off the breaking pitch. 4 strikeouts for Koosman. Here is Boog Powell, who has flied to deep left center and also fanned on a Koosman curve in the 3rd inning. We're in the top of the 6th inning of Game 5 of the World Series. Orioles lead New York 3-0. A curve, check swing, And no commitment made by Powell. Ball one. Powell had a notion to pull the trigger and then pull the finger off it just in time. 1-0 to Powell. 4 hits in the series. 304 for the regular year with 37 home runs. 1-0 from Koosman. Fastball and a swing and a miss. 1 ball and 1 strike. In the 6th inning, 3 runs, 4 hits for Baltimore. No runs, 3 hits for New York. The 2 starters, Mcnally and Koosman, still very much on the scene. Koosman battling Powell. 1-1 dealing. Fastball is off the outside corner, and Koosman came crossfire style from the first base side. 2 balls and 1 strike. Powell guards the plate, but nowhere near as tightly as Frank Robinson did from the other side. 2-1. Swings and misses on a shoulder-high fastball. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Now, Koosman had shown Frank Robinson 2 good fastballs, then got him on a change-of-speed breaking ball and a looking third strike. He has fired strictly fastballs to Boog Powell and overpowered him. 2-2 pitch. It's on the way. Sidearm fastball, looping pop-up to the left side, past Harrelson, the shortstop, and out to left field. Powell checked his swing. The ball looped off the end of the bat, back towards the deep part of the infield. Harrelson reached down the bare hand and could not get to it. And Powell winds up with a check swing, looping base hit out to left field. It is hit number 5 by Powell in the World Series, and he has more hits than any other member on the Oriole Ball Club. Svoboda of the Mets also has 5, like Powell. Powell at first with 2 gone, and he'll be checked by Clendenon holding. Brooks Robinson swings and misses, strike 1. 5 hits now for Baltimore off Koosman, and a 3-0 lead with 2 out in the top of the 6th inning. Clendenon does the guarding. Koosman looks and throws. A curve lined out to left field. Jones coming in, makes the chest-high grab in left field to retire the side. No runs, a hit, 1 left. In the middle of inning 6, Baltimore 3, New York nothing.
Hiking down the dusty trail, hear them old coyotes wail. I'd walk a mile for a camel. I'd walk a mile, wouldn't you? I got a wandering soul, beat up boots with a great big hole. I'd walk a mile for a camel.
This message was strictly for smokers who never tasted a Camel cigarette. Camel smokers, you know what we mean. You other guys, start walking.
Oh, what are those tiny whiskers there? The nubs! The nubs! Those miserable little specks of hair. The nubs! The nubs! Gillette Techmatic has news for you. The nubs are doomed. The nubs are through. You'll shave so close. Now Techmatic gets the nubs.
The Gillette Techmatic razor adjusts to shave you closer. You almost never get nicked, but you always get the nubs.
Techmatic gets the nubs.
Jim Simpson with Bill O'Donnell from Shea Stadium in New York, and Dave Mcnally trying to make it 3 games to 2 now in this World Series will face Cleon Jones, Don Clendenon, and Ron Svoboda. McNally's biggest trouble came in the first inning when he walked Agee and walked Clendenon and had runners at the corners with 2 out before striking out Svoboda. Since that time, he's given up a single to Svoboda to center field and a bunt single by Tommy Agee and has not been in trouble. He leads it 3-0 in this do-or-die game for the Baltimore Orioles. 6th inning, and Cleon Jones and Bill O'Donnell.
Dave Mcnally will oppose, first of all, as Jim told you, Jones. He is 0 for 2. He is flying to right and also popped up. An aggressive right-hand swinger who batted .340 during the regular season. Jones has 2 hits in this series to date. The left-hander Mcnally to Jones with a breaking ball that comes inside, and let's see if it hit Jones. It just got away from Jones. He skipped some rope on it. And now he's starting to walk down the first baseline. Demura did not motion him to first base. And now Jones is looking over towards the New York dugout. Ron Svoboda is leaping out, and also Gil Hodges is leaping out. Demura did not motion Jones to first base. He must have skipped rope on a low pitch to the dirt.
The ball was thrown out of play, and Gil Hodges asked Svoboda who had it in the dugout, and he has walked back with it to show Demura. And we go back to another World Series and the famous shoe polish on the ball. And now they are awarding first pick to Cleon Jones. And Gil Hodges Hodges went out to the baseball and showed it to DeMuro. And now Dave McNally's coming in, and now Earl Weaver is coming out. This is a series of great catches, fine defensive plays, and the year of the manager. Gil Hodges calmly asked for the baseball from Juan Swoboda. Went out and saw Lou DeMuro, who had tossed the ball out of play. He was convinced that it had hit Cleon Jones in the foot. Now Weaver says everything's all right. Pats McNally on the back, sends him back, but with Jones at first base. Here comes the only man in the series with 2 home runs, Don Clendenon.
Jim, Lou DeMuro, the American League umpire and working home plate, is working his very first World Series. And needless to say, he's never going to forget it. 1 on for the Mets in the bottom of the 6th inning. Jones has been hit by a McNally pitch. And Clendenon to the plate. He has walked and looked at strike 3. The Mets are down by 3 runs. Have something going in the bottom of the 6th inning. McNally stretching and throwing. And here's a high foul to the seats off to our right. Clendenon walked on the McNally 3-2 pitch in the first inning. And then looked at a strike 3 fastball in the 4th inning. Clendenon bats out of a deep crouch, and then he'll spring up and swing the bat hard. The look to first by McNally against Jones, delivering Clendenon. Outside, 1 ball and 1 strike. Andy Etchebarren has run quickly to the mound to talk briefly with McNally and also pat him on the back. And as quickly as Etchebarren went out, back he comes now to go to his crouch back of home plate. Powell holds with Jones, the runner at first base. The look to first by McNally. His 1-1 deal is cut out and missed. He got a curve into the hands of Clendenon. 1 ball and 2 strikes. McNally 2 years ago had serious arm trouble. Rested completely before the 1968 season. And wound up winning 22 ball games. The look to first, he's ahead of Clendenon 1-2. His pitch to the plate, curve is outside, 2 balls and 2 strikes. The Mets have Swoboda on deck. They're batting Clendenon with 1 on and nobody gone in the home half of the 6th inning. Clendenon well off the plate, but leaning out of the crouch towards the plate with a couple of golf swings and now cranks the bat back. 2-2 from McNally. A curve. Fly ball deep left field to the warning track. It is in and up for a home run. Just smacked his 3rd home run of the 1969 World Series on a bell-time McNally pitch. And he pulled it deep out to left, just to the right of the foul pole. And now the Oriole bullpen will begin to get active. The Mets are now down by 1 run. It is Baltimore 3 and New York 2 on the Clendenon 2-run homer. The batter is Ron Swoboda. Bats from the right side. Bunts the fastball up in the air foul. Back of the plate. Etchebarren can't get to it. Dick Hall, tall right-handed reliever, throwing in the Baltimore bullpen. The Oriole long relievers are Harden and Leonard. The middle inning reliever is Hall. The late inning relievers are Watt and Rickert. It is Hall warming here in the 6th inning after Clendenon homered with 1 on. Swoboda takes an inside McNally changeup curve. 1 ball and 1 strike. Baltimore 3, New York 2. A left-hander is up in the New York bullpen, Tug McGraw. 1-1 pitch. Strike called down the middle to the knees of Swoboda. McNally and the Orioles, since the 3rd inning, were having a breeze and leading 3-0. The Mets are right back in the ball game 3-2. The 1-2 pitch inside low to Ron Swoboda. Swoboda, a Baltimore-born and educated youngster, now lives in the New York City area. He and Mcnally are 2 balls and 2 strikes with nobody out. Mcnally throws a curve, line behind second base and right to the second baseman Johnson. Johnson was shading towards second base and took the lazy liner right back of the bag to retire Swoboda. Stepping in now will be the New York third baseman Ed Charles. He has grounded to third and fouled out to the catcher. Charles, a product of Kansas City, Missouri. That's from the right side, awaits Mcnally's serve. A ground chopper wide of third, gloved by Brooks Robinson. His toss is in time to Powell, and then is out number 2 in the Mets' 6th inning. Here's the catcher now for New York, Jerry Grody.
Jerry Grody, number 15.
Getting back to Clendenon's 3rd home run in the series, the record for World Series home runs is 4. Held by Lou Gehrig, Babe Ruth, Duke Snider, and Hank Bauer. 2 gone. Ground ball right to the shortstop. Dug out neatly by Belanger. He throws out Grody to retire the side. The Mets come back with 2 runs on Clendenon's blast. At the end of 6 innings of play, Baltimore 3, New York 2.
Thank you, Miss Nye, for leading us in song and frolic.
Oh, thank you, Uncle Evan. Now, look, children, we're almost there for our first adventure at High Diddle Diddle Day School. Now, everybody make a happy hello face. Let's not throw things.
What kind of car is it?
It's a station wagon.
Who makes it?
Plymouth makes it.
What's this?
That works the stereo in front and back.
Monroe, jump up and down like that and your stomach will drop off.
What's this for?
That's the special air conditioner. It makes it cool in the back without freezing the front.
Well, here we are. Send everybody out.
No! We want to stay in the station wagon because it's comfortable. Yeah! What's this?
That works the rear window with the optional washer.
What's that thing on the roof?
The air deflector. It keeps dirt and fumes away from the rear window.
And this?
The station wagon full of kids makes it. The sports suburban wagon makes it.
Plymouth makes it.
Jim Simpson back in New York, and Bill O'Donnell. Sometimes you wonder, is a team of destiny a cliche or a truism? Yesterday, Don Buford lost the winning run in the sunlight in left field. Today, after Cleon Jones was found not to have been hit, Gil Hodges came out with a baseball. There was a telltale mark, probably of shoe polish. He was allowed first base. Clendenon followed with a home run. He might have done that anyway, but instead of 3-1, because Jones was on, it's 3-2, and here's Bill.
Dave Johnson takes a fastball strike from Kuzmin to begin the top of the 7th inning. It's Johnson, Etchebarren, and Belanger, 6, 7, 8 batters in the Baltimore order. Baltimore leads by a run, 3-2. The winding Kuzmin, another fastball, and here's a towering fly to right field to the foul line. Swoboda to the foul line. On the foul line, goes to foul ground to make the catch. Johnson fouls to the right fielder, Swoboda. And there's one away at the top of the 7th inning. Andy Etchebarren now is the Oriole batter. He has bounced into a forced play and grounded out second to first base. Etchebarren is 0 for 5 in the series to date. He will be followed by Belanger. Kuzmin, the left-hander, rifles a curve that is fouled off the end of Etchebarren's bat. And as he twisted around like a weather vane right in the batter's box, he lost that plastic protective helmet. 1 strike to Etchebarren. The young man who caught all 4 games of the 1966 World Series between Baltimore and Los Angeles. Kuzmin ahead to Etchebarren with a 1-strike pitch that's fouled off downstairs to our right. Kuzmin has had different patterns in this ball game. In the early innings, he was going with fastballs and curves strictly. In the middle innings, he was going with off-speed breaking stuff. Now he's throwing the smoke here in the 7th. 2-strike pitch, fastball swung on and missed. 5 strikeouts for Kuzmin. 2 out in the top of the 7th inning, and the batter is Mark Belanger. He has singled and scored a run. He was aboard on McNally's third inning home run. His last trip, Belanger flied to the right fielder Svoboda. Belanger choking the bat off the knob. Kuzman quickly to work and delivers. Ground ball past the mound towards second base. Picked up by Harrelson, the shortstop. He throws out Belanger to retire the side. A 1-2-3 inning for Kuzman. In the middle of the seventh, Baltimore 3, New York 2.
Lee Malone near the bullpen with stadium policeman Vic Cowan. What do you do these, Vic?
My main function is to discourage fans from running onto the field to shake hands with the ball players, impeding the progress of the game.
Well, what if they do?
I pursue the perpetrator, apprehend him, and escort him from the premises.
And you prefer the regular right guard?
Yes, witness isn't a problem with my dark police uniform, and right guard regular keeps me smelling nice all day. No point offending the offender. He's in enough trouble.
Lately, there have been a lot of pretty girls running on the field kissing the players.
True, Wally. That's another reason I want to smell nice.
Whitby is another familiar ballpark figure, a hawker. You use the right guard antiperspirant in the silver can.
Right. It stops odor and helps keep me dry during my hectic chores as a hawker.
Well, what do you sell?
Scorecards, batting helmets, banners, noisemakers.
Could you give us a little demonstration of your classic sales technique?
Certainly. Scorecards. Get your scorecards. Can't tell the players without a scorecard.
Two kinds of people, two kinds of right guard.
There, get a gaily decorated banner representing the team of your choice.
Lee Malone returning it to the booth.
Scorecards.
Back in cloudy and cool New York City for the fifth and what could be the final game of the 1969 World Series. But right now, Baltimore is holding on to a tenuous 3-2 lead. Al Weiss, Jerry Kuzman, and Tommy Agee. The Baltimore bullpen is quiet, but Tug McGraw continues to throw for the Mets down in right field. And here is Bill O'Donnell.
Al Weiss begins the Mets against McNally in the bottom of the seventh inning. He's curved for a strike to his letters. Weiss has lined to short and grounded to third. He has 4 hits in the series. Has knocked over 2 runs. McNally ahead 0-1. Fastball. Here's a fly ball out to left center field. Buford going back. Buford at the warning track. It is over the fence for a home run. Have played long ball now in the last 2 innings, and they've locked up this fifth game at 3 runs apiece. 2-run homer by Clendenon last inning. Solo blast by Weiss over the fence in left center to begin the bottom of the seventh, and the batter is Jerry Kuzman. 3-3 tie. Kuzman swings and misses a McNally dipping curve under his hand. Buford back to the warning track, and as he was backing, looked like he had a play on the ball. The wind blowing out to left may have carried Weiss's blow over the wall. 1 strike to Kuzman. A curve outside. 1 ball and 1 strike. Dick Hall, Baltimore right-hander, begins to warm again in the Oriole bullpen. 1-1 to Kuzman, batting right-handed. Swings and misses on a let-up breaking ball. McNally ahead. 1 ball, 2 strikes, and throwing. Curve cut on and missed. Out number 1. Strikeout number 6 for McNally. And the big greeting now will be for Tommy Agee. Agee walked, stole a base in the first inning. Fly to center in the third. Had a bunt base hit down the third base side in the 5th inning. Weiss, who got the 7th inning home run, never hit a home run at Shea Stadium this past season. A curve for a strike to Agee. Agee, the right-hand batter, on 0-1. Fastball, he swings and he misses. He was challenged into his hands and jammed by McNally. In the seventh inning, 3 runs, 5 hits for Baltimore. A like number for the Mets, 3 runs and 5 hits. 2-strike pitch is outside to Tommy Agee, 1-2. McNally 1-2 with a curve fouled over towards the Oriole dugout off the third base side. All the runs in this 5th game of the World Series have been on home runs. A 2-run homer by McNally plus 1 by teammate Frank Robinson. A 2-run homer by Clendenon in the 6th. A leadoff bottom of the 7th home run here by Weiss. 1-2 to Agee. Fouls it behind the plate to the upper deck. The Mets have come back trailing 3-0 since the 3rd inning to get 2 in the 6th and 1 more thus far here in the 7th. McNally pouring forward with 1-2. Fastball is fouled off to our right and into the seats. Agee fouling off quite a few McNally pitches. Dick Hall continues to throw in the Baltimore bullpen out in left field. Agee, the young man from Mobile, Alabama, awaiting 1-2. McNally gives it to him. Outside low. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Two deal to Tommy Agee. Fouls it right past the throwing hand of the catcher Andy Etchebarren. Before this 5th game of the World Series, there had been only 4 home runs. 1 by Buford of Baltimore, 3 by the Mets, 2 by Clendenon, and 1 by Cranepool. But we've had explosiveness strike here in Game 5. Agee waiting on McNally. Winds and delivers 2-2. Inside with a fastball. 3 balls and 2 strikes with 1 out. McNally noticeably pressing against Agee. Gives him the 3-2 offering. Here's a high pop-up into right field. Frank Robinson going to his glove side and waiting for it to come down. Makes the put out in right field. Agee is retired on a routine fly ball to right for the 2nd out in the bottom of the 7th inning. And Bud Harrelson steps in for New York. Harrelson has been fanned twice today by McNally, has also flied to center field. The switch hitter from the right side. Looks inside, belt high, ball 1. Harrelson at the plate and Jones waiting on deck. 2 out in the 7th inning. The 1-0 from McNally is inside again. 2 balls and no strikes. Dave McNally out of Billings, Montana, who never played high school ball but learned how to play this game with the American Legion teams. 2-0. Line to third baseman Brooks Robinson, who goes down to both knees to make the grab right in the glove, and the side is retired. The Mets have tied it up on Al Weiss's leadoff homer at the end of 7 innings. It is Baltimore 3, New York 3.
Let's do Yankee Doodle. Yankee Doodle. 1, 2. Down. Riding on a pony. Stuck a feather in his hat and called it macaroni. What did he call it? Macaroni.
After a child has been in a bad accident, how can an insurance company help him to laugh again? The Hartford knows that money alone can't do it, but people can. Doctors, specialists, therapists when they're needed, to treat the injuries, to soothe the shock. And getting them there fast can also help. At the Hartford, we know it's often the kind of help you bring in at the start that determines whether or not there'll be a happy ending. Insurance by the Hartford. We try to keep things simple.
Jim Simpson with Bill O'Donnell back from New York, and Kurt Moulton has come out onto the on-deck circle and will bat for Dave Mcnally, so Mcnally will neither win nor lose this, the 5th game of the World Series. He worked 7 innings, giving up 3 runs, which came in the last 2 innings. On Clendenon's 2-run homer, Jones would reach by being hit by the pitch and awarded first base after Rhubarb, and Al Weiss hitting a home run on an 0-1 pitch. So Moulton comes on, and by the way, Clendenon might be expected to hit 3 home runs and drive in 4 runs. But who would have thought that little Al Weiss, a .215 hitter on the year, would be 5 for 10 in the World Series with a home run and 3 RBIs? Answer, probably not even Al Weiss. But here is Moulton to face Koosman in this tie game as we move now to the top of the 8th at Bill O'Donnell.
Moulton will go deep to the box and guard the plate. He bats right-handed. Hits the ground ball right at the shortstop, Harrelson. Digs it up in the hole. Throws out. Moulton by a step at first base. Moulton batting for Mcnally has grounded out short to first. First man has been retired by the Mets. That's Moulton, and here now is Don Buford. He has grounded out twice to the shortstop, Harrelson. Also fly to the right fielder, Svoboda, in the 5th inning, and Svoboda had to make a long-running catch to get to the fly ball. Koosman working from the first base side of the rubber. Buford, a switch swinger, batting right-handed. Lays off an outside pitch. He had a notion and kept the bat back. 1-0 to Buford, to be followed by Blair. Baltimore 3, New York 3. Game 5 of the World Series. We're in the top of the 8th inning. Koosman's 1-0 pitch. Fly ball out to center field. Agee going back with Svoboda. They're both in right center, and it is Agee for the put out in right center field. 2 up and 2 away. And that'll bring up Paul Blair. Blair's first trip to the plate, he hit the ball well and deep, but Agee patrolled deep to center field to bring down the fly ball. And Koosman handcuffed Blair in a curveball and struck him out in the 3rd. Blair lined to center in the 6th inning. Blair leaned towards the plate from the middle of the box. A changeup is thrown low for ball 1. Koosman has what pitchers call a straight change. Frank Robinson is on deck. 2 out, and the pitch to Blair. Fly ball down the left field line, but curving way foul up until the 2nd deck. That was a good 30 feet off the left field foul pole. 1 ball, 1 strike to Blair. Koosman rocking at the rubber. Kicks and he deals Blair. Swings, hits the ground ball towards short. Backhanded in the hole by Harrelson. Long throw. In time. Fine play by Harrelson to beat the speedy Blair by 1 strike. 1, 2, 3. The Orioles are set down. And in the middle of the 8th inning, it's Baltimore 3, New York 3.
Me and my Winston, we got a real good thing, a real good taste. Yeah, me and my Winston, we got a real good thing. Me and my Winston, we got a real good thing, 'cause my Winston tastes good like a cigarette should.
Back in New York at Shea Stadium, and we go to the top of the 8th inning, or rather the bottom of the 8th inning, and Cleon Jones, Don Clendenon, and Ron Svoboda. And Baltimore, after batting Kurt Moulton for Mcnally, who left after 7 innings, has come on with the right-hander, Eddie Watt. Their leading man in saves and in appearances from the Baltimore bullpen, who worked in yesterday's game, the 8th and 9th innings, and gave up 2 hits and struck out 2, but allowed no runs. Watt is now on in this tie game at 3-3. And as Bill O'Donnell pointed out yesterday, at no time over this series or season has Watt gone more than 3 innings. He is the short reliever. Baltimore looking for runs and looking for Watt to stop the Mets in this must game for Baltimore. Bill?
Watt overall, Jim, during 1969 made 56 relief appearances, more than any other member of manager Weaver's bullpen. His record, 5 wins, 2 defeats. He had 16 saves to also lead the bullpen staff and had an earned run average of just over a run and a half a game. Watt in the 8th to face the power part of the Mets order, Jones, Clendenon, and Svoboda. Jones is 0 for 2, plus hit by a pitch. Slider is low. Watt has 2 kinds of wind-ups. He'll wind to the belt and also wind right on top of the head. He'll wind to the head sometimes when he gets ahead of batters. He winds to the belt 1-0 and throws low. He's 2 balls and no strikes to Jones. Activity in the Baltimore bullpen continuing, this time with right-hander Dave Leonard. The Met bullpen is silent. 3-3 tie on the bottom of the 8th. 2-0. Low again. 3 balls and no strikes. Watt, a young man from the state of Iowa who makes his off-season home in recent years in Baltimore. His 3-0 pitch, it's rifled down the middle for strike 1. 3 balls and 1 strike. Clendenon is on deck. Both clubs with 5 hits, both with 3 runs. Watt on the 3-1. Here's a fly ball out to center field, way back in center. Blair is running to the fence. It's off the fence. Jones is headed to second base, will come in standing with a double. It was right under the 396-foot mark, just a little bit to the left of center field. Jones doubles to begin the bottom of the 8th inning off reliever Eddie Watt. The pitch was into his knees, and he rifled it right through the middle of the ballpark and out off the fence in left center. The Mets have the go-ahead run at second base. They bring on Don Clendenon. Clendenon walked in the first, looked at strike 3 in the 4th, homered with Jones aboard in the 6th inning. Clendenon this time has Jones at second base. Baltimore and New York, a 3-3 tie. 57,000 people going crazy here in New York. Watt stretches and throws. A bunt is fouled behind home plate. The Mets strategy with Clendenon bunting is to move Jones to third base and get him home on something through the infield or a fly ball to the outfield. Meanwhile, the 2 chief men in the Mets dugout, pitching coach Rube Walker and manager Gil Hodges, seated side by side and just watching everything go on. 1 strike to Clendenon out of that deep crouch with that tall frame leaning towards the plate. Jones, who just doubled, is off second base, edging into his lead. Clendenon bunts foul back over the screen. 2 strikes to Clendenon. Now there's a decision to make. The Mets have to decide, do we want Clendenon to bunt on a second strike? If he bunts foul, he's out of there and back to the dugout. Brooks Robinson plays back deep at third. Belanger, the shortstop, is shading a bit to his glove side. Eddie Yost, the third base coach, is barking out instructions to Jones. Come on, or stay or go back. 2 strikes to Clendenon. Watt throws. A curve, he swings and he strikes out. No, he foul-tipped it. He got a piece of it, and it popped out of Etchebarren's mitt and is rolled in front of home plate. So Clendenon will stay alive. He is not banned. Watt now takes a little march around the right of the mound and now comes back on top into his little office. Looking to Etchebarren. Now looking out to the lead of Jones. 2-strike pitch. Here's a line drive to right field. It's headed for the corner, and it is a foul ball. Called by the right field umpire, Shaq Crawford. There is only 10 feet from the deep foul part of the foul line in right field to a restraining wall. And it bounced foul between that line and that restraining wall. Clendenon came very close to having at least a double. And the Mets at the moment came very close to going ahead by a run. Watt has marched now back of the mound and walks his way back on top. Jones is at second base in the bottom of the 8th inning. Mets 3, Orioles 3. Clendenon has a light. The look to second by Watt, and he throws. A ground ball slowly down third, charged by Robinson. Jones stays at second. The throw is backhanded at first base by Powell, and Clendenon is retired. Robinson had a charge, a trickler back in the grass. He was playing back deep on Clendenon. He took a quick look to Jones. Jones remained at second, and then Robinson threw hard to Powell's backhand side. Powell reached to the outside part of the bag towards the outfield, stayed at the bag, and Clendenon is out. Now the equally dangerous Ron Svoboda is up. Double activity in the Baltimore bullpen with right-hander Hall and left-hander Rickard. Svoboda has more base hits than any other member of the Mets ball club. He has 5 hits, including 1 today. A base hit through the middle and out to center field in the 4th inning off Mcnally. With 1 out, Jones is leading off second base. Svoboda waiting. Watt working. Slider. Here's a fly ball. Deep left field. Headed for the fence. And it's on the warning track. Picked up by Buford. On comes Jones to the plate. The throw is late. Going to second base is Svoboda. Svoboda just lined a shot right in front of the left field warning track. Buford gave it a backhanded bid but could not get to it. He picked it up on 1 hop, threw home but down the third base foul line. Jones has scored. Svoboda on the throw to the plate went to second base. The Mets are leading 4-3. Hit Charles. It's a ground foul down the third base side. We have not heard the official scoring on Svoboda. At the moment, we assume it is a single to left and to second on the throw home. The Mets ahead 4-3. They've scored 2 in the 6th, 1 in the 7th, 1 more here in the 8th inning. It's 1 strike to Charles. The stretch and the pitch by Watt backs off Charles. 1 ball and 1 strike. Svoboda, 2 base hits today and a big RBI to play Jones from second base. 1-1 to Charles. Ground foul over the head of third base coach Yost. It was 3-0, Baltimore leading until the 6th inning when Clendenon clouded a 2-run homer. It was 3-2 Baltimore leading in the 7th when Weiss tied it up with a leadoff homer. Here in the 8th, a double by Jones, followed by a Clendenon ground out, and then Svoboda, a line base hit to left field to cash Jones with the go-ahead run. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Charles. Watt serving, a slider inside. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Mets leading in Game 5 by a score of 4-3. The official scorer has just given Svoboda a 2-base hit. He leads at second. Here's a high fly out to left field. Coming on is the left fielder Buford. Svoboda is not tagging, and Buford makes the catch in straightaway left field. Second out in the Mets 8th inning. And here's the New York catcher, Jerry Grody. Grody, the pride of San Antonio, Texas, and the pride of the Mets catching corps. Perhaps on this Mets ball club, their most unheralded ball player. Grody is hitless today. He has flied to center, bounced into a force play, and rolled out to short. Svoboda, who doubled over the go-ahead Mets run, is at second base and leading with 2 out. Watt looks that way. Throws high to Jerry Grody, batting from the right side, ball 1. The Orioles' top of the 9th inning will be led off by Frank Robinson and followed by Boog Powell. Watt setting into the belt. 1-0 pitch. Fouled off the mask of catcher Etchebarren. Ball 1 and strike 1 to Grody. Watt has retreated to the rear of the mound, back to the grass to wet up on the hands. I'm sure you're aware that Major League rules do not allow pitchers to wet up on the hands while they're actually in the mound area. They must back to the grass or to the side of the mound of the grass. Ball 1, strike 1 to Grody. Svoboda looked over by Watt as he leads off second base. The delivery is lined on one hop off Powell's glove. He recovers, throws to Watt. Watt drops the ball. Svoboda's coming home and scores to make it 5-3. Two-ground smash to Powell that hit his glove, bounced off his chest. Watt went over to cover first base. Grody beat the throw from Powell to Watt, who dropped the ball. Svoboda dashed to third, kept right on coming home. The Mets are now ahead by 2 runs.
Second baseman, now.
It could be scored as a single and an error. It could be a base hit for Grody. It could be an error for Watt for dropping the ball and allowing an extra base advance.
That's the second time in 2 games, Bill, that a misplay at first base on a throw has cost.
Al Weiss fouls off Watt's first pitch back of the screen. Strike to Weiss, who had that big tie homer in the 7th inning. It is New York 5, Baltimore 3 in the 8th inning. Watt's pitch is fouled again by Weiss back of the plate. The official scorer has charged 2 errors. One on the misfielding of the ground smash by Powell. Another by the drop of Powell's throw by Watt. An error to Powell, an error to Watt, permitting Svoboda to advance 2 bases and score from second base. So Grody is at first base, not with a base hit, but with combined errors on Powell and Watt. 2-strike delivery is on the inside corner for called strike 3 to Weiss. But the Mets get 2 runs in the 8th inning with 2 hits, 2 Baltimore errors, and 1 left. At the end of 8 innings of play in Game 5, New York 5, Baltimore 3.
The 1970 Chryslers with new Torsion Quiet Ride are here. To move this year, move up to Chrysler.
Back in a jammed and jubilant Shea Stadium in New York with Bill O'Donnell, this is Jim Simpson. Baltimore down by 2 in the 9th. This could be the last inning of the 1969 World Series. The Orioles need 2 to tie, but they've got their power coming up in Frank Robinson, Boog Powell, and Brooks Robinson. Now, if the Mets win, who's the most valuable player? And from Sport Magazine, gets that Dodge Challenger. Jerry Koosman, who'll have won 2. Ron Svoboda with more hits than anybody, 6 including the go-ahead hit here, and a game-saving catch yesterday. Or Al Weiss, 5 for 10. who won a game, the second game, with a single and tied this game with a home run. Make your choice, but the game isn't over yet. Baltimore needs 2 for the 9th. Bill O'Donnell.
Frank Robinson begins it off against southpaw Koosman. A change curve is outside, ball 1. Frank Robinson lined to right in the first inning, homered over the left center field fence in the third, looked at strike 3 in the 6th inning. Robinson at the plate to be followed by Powell and Brooks Robinson. Koosman serves, inside low, 2-0. Now a young New York fan has leaped out of the right field area, marched over the fence, come across the foul line, and come out to shake the hand of first baseman Clendenon. And 2 Met Stadium security officers now are taking the young man off the field. Right-hander Ron Taylor and left-hander Tug McGraw are throwing in the New York bullpen. Koosman is 2 balls, no strikes to Frank Robinson. The Mets are leading in Game 5 of the World Series 5-3 after trailing 3-0 going to the 6th inning. 2-0 to Robinson. Inside corner strike to his letter. Two-1 pitch to Frank Robinson. It's low to make it 3-1. Late in the season at Detroit, the Orioles came back from a 4-1 deficit in the 9th inning to beat the Tigers. 3-1 pitch to Robinson. It is down the middle but high for ball 4, and the Orioles will bring up the tie run with Boog Powell. Koosman has just given up his first walk of the afternoon. 5-3, New York leads. Powell with 1 base hit coming to the plate. He had a check swing looping base hit out to left field in the 6th inning. Flied deep to left center in the 2nd. Struck out on a Koosman breaking ball in the 3rd. Clendenon will not hold against Frank Robinson. He'll play back of the bag a couple of steps, and he'll also guard the foul line. Robinson with a short lead. Koosman giving Robinson a good long look. Now concentrating on Powell. Sidearms him, and Powell fouls it back, strike 1. To give Oriole fans some hopes about that comeback in a late season game at Detroit, the Orioles were trailing by a score of 4-1 in the 9th inning and got consecutive solo homers by Robinson, Powell, and Brooks Robinson to tie it up, then eventually win it later in the inning. 0-1 pitch, change curve is low. Koosman tried to get the lunging Powell off balance, and he took the low breaking ball. Ball 1 and strike 1. Clendenon has backed a little bit deeper at first base, but he is right on the foul line. Robinson watches him over the shoulder and leads. Sidearm fastball is low outside. 2 balls and 1 strike. A reminder that right-hander Taylor and left-hander McGraw are warming in the New York bullpen. The Orioles batting in the 9th. The Mets are leading 5-3. 2-1 to Powell. Ground ball slowly to the second baseman. Weiss turns, throws to second for 1 out, and that's all they'll get. Frank Robinson left his feet, and he went right barreling into the shortstop Harrelson, who made the forced play at second base, but that's the way you play the game. He came off his feet, barreled into Harrelson, gave him a body block to prevent any throw to first base. Powell, the runner at first base, now will be lifted, and Chico Simone will run for Powell. 1 out in the top of the 9th inning. After Weiss, the second baseman, turned over Powell's ground ball into a forced play at second. Simone to run for Powell. 1 out. The batter is Brooks Robinson. Robinson is 0 for 3 today against Koosman. On 2 fly balls to the outfield and a ground ball to the shortstop Harrelson. 1 on, 1 out, top of the 9th inning. Pitch to Brooks. Down the middle. That's a strike call. The Orioles have Dave Johnson standing in the on-deck circle. They've got Simone at first base leading and running for Powell. 1 strike pitch. Curve, chopped foul to the Oriole dugout. The Mets lead in the World Series 3-1. They lead in Game 5 by a score of 5-3. Koosman staying right around the rubber. stretches down from the letters and sets at the belt. A curve, and here's a fly ball out to medium right field. Svoboda coming in, pounding the glove. There's out number 2. All of the Oriole hopes now rest on the shoulders and the bat of second baseman Dave Johnson. From reserved seats now, downstairs below us, all begin to inch towards the box seats and back of the New York dugout. Pitch to Johnson. He's thrown low outside by Koosman. 1 ball, no strikes. Johnson, the batter, with Etchebarren on deck. Clendenon deep on the right side, close to the foul line. Simone's got a good lead. 1-0. Strike called, knee high. Johnson, 1 ball and 1 strike. Jones plays him deep in left. A.G. plays him normal depth in center. 1-1. A curve, outside high. 2 balls and 1 strike. Brody, before he returned the ball to Koosman, snapped his wrist and more or less telling Koosman, bring that ball in more on Johnson. Simone having no trouble with the lead. Clendenon is just 1 good stride in from the outfield grass at first. 2-1 pitch. Fly ball, deep left field. Jones is back to the fence. Jones is on the warning track. The World Series is over. Jones makes the catch. Jones made the catch on Johnson's deep fly ball. The Mets have won it by a score of 5-3. Met fans are pouring on the field, trying to steal home plate, trying to take the rubber at the mound. Fans pouring from out of the stands all over the playing field. The final score of the 5th and final game of the 1969 World Series is New York 5, Baltimore 3, and we'll be back with a recap of today's highlights in just a minute.
Some men have average-size hands. Some men have big hands. For men with average hands, Gillette introduces our new adjustable razor with an average-size handle. For men with big hands, Gillette introduces our new adjustable razor with a long handle. Both new razors have 9 precision settings. Gillette figures a more comfortable razor in your hand means a more comfortable shave.
I've got an important message for you about cars, even if you don't drive a car. It's about the anti-pollution team. Phillips 66 gasolines and Trop Arctic motor oils. By fighting pollution in a car's engine, they help keep pollution out of the air. So you get a better running engine, and we all get cleaner air. Got the message? Now get the anti-pollution team, only from Phillips 66, where it's performance that counts.
Phil O'Donnell with Jim Simpson as the New York Mets have just defeated the Baltimore Orioles in Game 5 of the World Series, won the 69 World Series, 4 victories to 1, and Met fans are beginning a celebration perhaps like they began on the 24th of September when they defeated the St. Louis Cardinals 6-0, and they had a 3-hour celebration here at Shea Stadium. The totals on the ball game, the Mets 5 runs, 7 hits, no errors. Baltimore 3 runs, 5 hits, and 2 errors.
Let's switch down now to Lindsey Nelson.
All right, and here in the clubhouse, it's Bedlam, too, as Mrs. Joan Payson, the principal owner of the New York Mets, is here. Congratulations.
This is yours, Gil, isn't it?
And the commissioner of baseball, Mr. Bowie Curran, is here.
Lindsay, this is my most proud moment as commissioner. This is my opportunity to present to Mrs. Payson and to Gil Hodges, who are the 2 most responsible people for this team of destiny, for its accomplishment as world champion. I cannot tell you how proud I am of you, Mrs. Payson, Gil, of you, of your ball players. Every one of them made a contribution to this, every last one of them. And they can be proud of this because in beating the Baltimore Orioles, they beat the best darn ball club around they could beat. And I'm very proud of them. This then goes to the Mets.
Bowie Curran the commissioner now presenting this trophy to Johnny Murphy, the general manager. to Mrs. Payson and to Gil Hodges. Step up here, Gil. We want to get a good look at you. It's a long step down, isn't it?
Beautiful, beautiful. And,
what do you have to say about this?
Well, first of all, I would just thank the commissioner for this beautiful trophy, and certainly thank my immediate boss, Mr. John Murphy, and just all the New York Mets, Mrs. Payson, Mr. Grant, and all the directors, and certainly all the wonderful players that we had this year that have done such an outstanding job. And we must not forget all the beautiful fans that we had in Shea Stadium all year long. It's just been a great year, and thank God it's over now.
It is indeed. John Murphy, the general manager.
Well, Lindsay, this is the happiest day of my life. I think Gil did a great job for us.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Thank you very much for presenting the trophy, and I think we'd better remove this to a safer place with a little help, because we're going to have a few things going up here. Here is... Just behind you, Commissioner, is Don Grant, the chairman of the board of the Mets.
Thank you very much. Thank our fans. We've been very lucky, and we thank the man up above.
Don, what is that dripping off of you, Don?
That's a little champagne. I get it in my ear, but never in my mouth.
And the president of the National League, Mr. Warren Giles, who will be retiring after this season. Warren, you picked a great season to go out on.
This is the greatest thing that's happened to baseball, the greatest thing that's happened to the National League, and the greatest thing that's happened to me.
Wonderful.
Last year.
Wonderful. And you sound like you really believe it. And here's Mrs. Gil Hodges. Hello, Joan. She was here. He was here.
See, I just can't believe it. It's been a year of miracles, and it's marvelous. Really, really
It
marvelous.
is indeed. And Herb Walker, the executive vice president.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable, Nelsie.
And now we're going to try to get some of the Mets up here. Here we are. Jerry Kuzman right behind me.
Great, Jerry. Just terrific.
Jerry, tell me first about that double that you ripped out there early in the ball.
I can really hit, Koozie. I always told him I was a hitter, Lindsay. I always told him.
You've been saying that, and Jerry Grody right there.
Yes, sir. He can do it all, Lindsay. He can do it all.
And right here behind us.
Yes, sir.
It's Mr.
Happy birthday.
Well, I'll tell you. I was going to say happy birthday to Mr. Payson. Let's get Don Clendenon up here. Don, what did you hit on the 2-2 pitch?
I think it was a slider. I'm not sure. Slider curveball.
Didn't really care, did you?
No, I didn't really care.
Don, you had a great World Series.
Thank you very much. I would like to have done better, but like I told everybody from the very inception that we're a great ball club. We proved it. Baltimore was overconfident, but we proved that we're a great ball club.
I think Mr. Payson has something to say to you.
I have this. Thank you, sir.
I have this to say to the whole team. Today happens to be my birthday, and who could have a better birthday present than these boys gave me today?
Quite a present. It is indeed. Don, when you came down from Montreal, people were wondering how long you were going to continue to play baseball. What do you say now? The season's over.
Well, I have a 2-year contract. I will honor my contractual obligations, and I will play as long as I think New York can need my services, as long as I can do an adequate major league job.
Certainly, we'll be looking forward to seeing you next season when we start all over. Don Clendenon. Let's get Tom Seaver over here. Tommy, got to be a big thrill.
Oh, the biggest ever. I tell you, that you believe in this. Look at one of my bobos right here.
It's Leon Jones.
Just beautiful.
Just ripped that one pretty good there off the wall out in left center.
Well, Lindsay, this is the same ball club that been blown on the same field with the Baltimore Orioles, but we beat them. We showed them what we had, what type of ball club we had been all year. And we're number one.
They thought they're going to run us right off the field, and we come to play. This is a club that played this way all year long. We came from behind. We did it today, and you can't say too much for this.
Now tell me, I want to ask both of you. Tell me sincerely, because I want to ask you this question. You're down 3 runs. What kind of feeling did you have at that time about your prospects of winning the ball game?
We built it up all year long. It's been like that, Lindsay. No matter what happened, no matter where we were down 6-0 in Pittsburgh, came back and won that ball game because we never put our heads between our legs, and we always fought, and it's the greatest feeling in the world.
Well, Lindsay, we're the type of ball club that scored late all during the year. We never give up. This is why we're here. We get behind 3 or 4 runs in the latter part of the ball game, we come back.
Congratulations to both of you. You both had a great year. We'll be back here in a moment. Again, the final score was the Mets 5, the Orioles 3. In a moment, we'll continue to review the events of today's game. You want a picture right here? What do you want? They got a picture right here. Yes, sir. We'll be back here in just a minute. Come on up. Come on up. Atta boy. We'll be back in just a minute. I'll give you the ball. We'll be back in. be back here in just a minute. Stay right here.
No, I don't.
Stay right here. Stay right here. I want to talk to you.
Bunch of pussies, man.
Be back here in about a half a minute. Stay right where you are. Out of boy. Good. We're in commercial right now.
We're number one. Thank you. I'll give him a kiss. Beautiful. You know what, Tommy? You smell like a horse.
We're in the clubhouse of the world champion New York Mets, and it has a certain ring to it. We have Tommy Agee here, Ron Swoboda, Cleon Jones, and the mayor of the city of New York is about to make an entry here. Mayor Lindsay's coming up. What do you have to say to the Mets, Mayor?
Oh, God, it's going to be the biggest celebration New York ever saw. We're proud of you. What a lovely team.
What did the New York Mets in this summer mean to the city of New York?
Gave us the biggest lift we've had in 1,000 years. Beautiful job.
Tell them you're going to give them a day Monday.
It's going to be a big day on Monday. Big celebration in the whole city. Biggest you ever saw. It's going to be tremendous.
The mayor of New York saying that Monday's going to be sort of a Met day here in New York. So get all ready for it. Did you enjoy the ball game?
It's the best game I ever saw in my life. Never been happier.
Marvelous. Mayor Lindsay of the city of New York. Tommy, you had a marvelous year and a marvelous World Series.
Thank you very much, Lindsay. We were kind of up for the series. We knew we could beat Baltimore. And when they were talking so much, they gave us that much incentive to win. They were talking so much, they forgot to play.
Right. Ron Swoboda was the last base hit, the biggest one you ever got in your life.
Well, we've come so far so fast. I think nothing can really be said. You know it, Lindsay. You know it because it brought us here. It was only one of the things. There were so many things.
Ron, you got the magic glove back. You got it all back.
They can pick it. Who's me? They can pick it.
Can he pick it?
There's my buddy.
There he is, Rod Gasper, with a little something for the mayor here, and he's got to return the favor. It's fair enough. Come on, Ed Charles. Ed Charles, come up here. Let's get the glider up here. Ed, you've been in professional baseball.
We're number one, Lindsay. It's a wonderful feeling. Wonderful feeling.
And you were saying back in August when October rolls around.
When October rolls around, the Mets will wear the crown. East side, west side. How about that, huh?
Lindsay, what did I say? I said we won 4 straight, didn't I?
That's what
4 straight, and we did it.
Well, you won 4 straight after you lost that first one. That's true. Buddy Harrelson over here. Bud, you had a great World Series and a great season.
Thank you very much. I think it was a team effort today, as it has been all year. Once or twice, one individual would stand out, but overall, I think today was an example of our game, of a team effort and fighting back, never quitting on the bench, and just a great year, a great team, and I'm glad to be here.
Are you staying in New York now for the winter?
Yes, I live here in New York, and I'm looking forward to this World Series rubbing off financially.
But here we are, our wife, the mighty Might, who suddenly found all the power in the world.
What is it? I was just trying to hit a single that time. You lead off hit. I was just trying to hit a single, and it just went out.
Well, how is it now? You hit a home run off Mcnally once some years ago.
Yeah, I got him in my book twice now, and this is the biggest one.
Had to be a great thrill.
Well, I can't explain what was happening to me going around the bases. I just was so overjoyed I couldn't laugh. I couldn't keep a straight face. I don't know what I did.
A lot of things were happening to a lot of people about that time.
It's really great. The whole team is just a great team effort, and it's been a wonderful year.
All right, we're here in the dressing room.
And before leaving, let us pay another tribute, and many more will be made before October is over, to manager Gil Hodges, who a year ago in Atlanta, Georgia, suffered a heart attack, sat out the rest of the season, came on back to manage the amazing Mets this year to 100 victories. Gil Hodges, starting out against the left-handers of Baltimore, Cuellar and McNally, was criticized somewhat for starting his right-handed lineup. Not the lineup that had swept the series from the Atlanta Braves with his left-handed power hitters of Art Shamsky and the hot-hitting Ken Boswell. Instead, he went with Charles at third base, Weiss at second, Clendenon at first, and Swoboda in right field. It was said then for Gil Hodges and his gamble to pay off, Clendenon would have to hit, and so would Swoboda. While Clendenon hit enough home runs, 3, to win the Outstanding Player Award, and Ron Swoboda contributed that diving catch yesterday of the drive off the bat of Brooks Robinson, and also had more hits than anybody else in the World Series. The Baltimore Orioles ran away with the Eastern Division pennant and then the league championship with 3 straight over Minnesota. And the New York Mets
took them in 5 games, 4-1, winning today 5-3. For New York, it has been a wonderful year, and for Baltimore, wait till